Forms and out yields all other corn herbicides by 5 to 15 bushels an acre. Talk to your local Syngenta retailer or visit findmorebushels.com to discover your revenue potential today. Always read and follow label instructions. Acuron is a restricted use pesticide.
Keeping you informed, keeping you safe, keeping you engaged and entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Good afternoon, 12 o'clock. We have cloudy skies, 52 degrees, mostly to partly cloudy, breezy today with a high 58. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. We do have some breaking news this hour. An evacuation at Oak Creek High School. Oak Creek police confirmed to WTMJ the building was evacuated due to a threat, but would not go into any further detail on the type of threat. Officers are working on clearing the building, making sure it's safe before students and staff are able to go back inside. We'll keep you up to date on this developing story. The UN reports nearly half of Gaza's population has been displaced as Israeli forces say they're preparing for a ground assault. Here's ABC's Ian Pennell with more.
Gaza facing a mounting humanitarian crisis as Israel gears up for a possible ground invasion. Israeli troops amassing at the border with Gaza, vowing to crush Hamas, the militant group behind last week's bloody attack in Israel.
The work-focused social network LinkedIn, the latest tech firm to announce a round of layoffs. Here's ABC's Mike Dubusky.
668 workers are being let go from LinkedIn. The layoffs affect the company's engineering, product, talent, and finance teams. In a statement, the company said talent changes are a difficult but necessary and regular part of managing our business. In May, LinkedIn laid off more than 700 employees, while parent company Microsoft let about 10,000 workers go at the beginning of this year. Microsoft also recently completed its acquisition of Activision Blizzard for almost $70 billion. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
State of Wisconsin currently sitting on an over $7 billion surplus, according to the Department of Administration. That amount eclipses the previous record of $4.3 billion recorded last fiscal year. DOA Secretary Kathy Blumenfeld says the state's ending balance for the 2023 fiscal year is over $196 million higher than previously budgeted. Not just another run-of-the-mill closure on 43 tonight.
As part of the I-43 URT Bridge project, that's the one just north of Capitol Drive, the DOT is doing a full closure of the northbound lanes. Now, there have been plenty of overnight closures, but this one's a little different because when it reopens, the northbound lanes will be on fresh, new pavement. Once they switch the northbound lanes back onto their official side, crews will be able to be working on the interior lanes and shoulder. So just south of the Glendale Avenue Bridge, the northbound lanes will have 3 full lanes. The southbound lanes will still be in the 2-lane configuration, but progress is being made. Debbie Laziga, WTMJ News.
A Mass and Holy Hour for Peace will be held this evening in downtown Milwaukee. The Cathedral of St. John the Evangelist welcomes all to attend a time to pray for peace in our world, our country, and our community. Mass will begin at 5:15 this evening. Last week, a community solidarity gathering in Fox Point at Congregation Shalom drew over 1,000 attendees. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 342 points, the Nasdaq is up 149, and the S&P 500 is up 46. It's time for the Annex Wealth Management Tax Smart Planning Review. They'll review, assess, and provide strategies you can use. Go to annexwealth.com/taxsmart. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:03.
Wisconsin is as hard-working of a place as you'll ever find. There's a sense of pride, community, and work ethic that's second to none. People here are tough, but even the toughest among us need help after a serious accident. At Gruber Law Offices, we won't stop fighting for you and your family. We've been here and will continue to be here for as long as you need us. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
The all-new Potawatomi Casino Hotel has something you gotta see. Play more slots and games, and you could say, "Show me the money," to reveal up to 10 grand each Thursday. 800,000 in prizes is up for grabs. 40 winners each week. This October and November at Potawatomi, Milwaukee. When you're ready to win, just say, "Show me the money." More info at paysbig.com. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Champagne's not as cheap as ginger ale, and you can't buy caviar for the same price as candy. But right now, you can buy high-end Beautyrest and Sealy Posturepedic mattresses for nowhere near high-end prices. Hasseless Mattress is clearing out a handful of premium floor models, like the Sealy Posturepedic Glendale Falls Queen. Was on sale for $955, now just $362. Only a few remain, and they will sell out. Find a self-service, employee-free showroom near you at Hasseless.com.
Haul away big savings this weekend at Fleet Farm's Truckload Savings Event. Like 40-pound bags of superior hardwood fuel pellets, 2 for $11. Morton Clean and Protect water softener pellets are only $5.89 a bag. Save on 40 pounds of black oil sunflower seed, just $18.99. And get a free $15 Fleet Farm gift card with select Science Diet pet food. Stock up on everything you need for everyday life at Fleet Farm.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
Free time for the Milwaukee Bucks debuted last night under the bright lights of Los Angeles. Damian Lillard and Giannis making their preseason debuts for the Bucks, and it did not take long for Dame Time to clock in on this one.
Damian Lillard's got it on the left wing. Lillard gonna fire away. Three-pointer, yeah, baby.
Dave Kane on the call there as Lillard added 3 of his 14 total points, and Giannis would add 16 as the Bucks go on for the 108-97 preseason win over the Lakers. The Texas Rangers take a 1-0 series lead in the ALCS with a 2-0 win over the Houston Astros on Sunday night. And Week 6 of the NFL season rolled on Sunday afternoon. No Packers game, but around the NFC North, the Minnesota Vikings defeated the Chicago Bears by a final of 19-13, and the Lions winners once again beating Tampa Bay by a final of 20-6. Week 6 will conclude with a Monday night matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Chargers tonight. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. No major delays to report this hour. 94 eastbound from Highway 16 to the zoo, a typical 10-minute drive in the zoo to downtown, about 6. 4145 southbound from Highway Q to the zoo interchange, about 16 minutes. It'll take you about 10 to go 43 southbound from Brown Deer Road to the Marquette interchange, and 6 minutes, 94 northbound from Layton Avenue to the Marquette interchange.
I'm Brett Matschke, and you're due for service.
Richlawn's Tire and Service Centers. 5 locations and all easy to find. Visit richlawns.com when you're due for service.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast, mostly to partly cloudy, breezy today with a high 58. Partly cloudy tonight, lows 45, lakeside 40 inland. Mostly sunny tomorrow with a high 61. Then partly cloudy and mild on Wednesday. A chance for showers in the evening with a high 65. Mostly cloudy Thursday, showers in the forecast, a high 58. Then mostly cloudy Friday with a high once again of 58 degrees. Right now, Madison's at 43, Green Bay 48, Milwaukee 52. I'm Connie Weber, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:07.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. So very glad to have you with us. If you watch us on our YouTube channel, you can go to WTMJ.com and hit the Watch Live button, or we've got our own YouTube channel. Who knew? Just go to YouTube and then put in WTMJ, and you can watch us live. Lots of people do it. I'm kind of rocking my dark red outfit today. Went to the Wisconsin game on Saturday. I had not been to a Badgers game in a long, long time, and might be a while before I go back. Actually, the people we were with, absolutely outstanding, had a great time. But boy, this football team's got some work to do. It really was kind of a throwback to the bad old days. Badgers, at one point in time, they went 4 consecutive possessions with 3 and out, unable to get at least 10 yards. And they kept calling the same play over and over again. And it didn't work. And I don't know. What's that? The definition of insanity, when you keep doing the same thing over and over again and you're surprised that the outcome isn't different. Well, maybe it was just a bad game and stuff, but we had a great time at the ball game, just the game itself, not so much. The other thing that I noticed, and I did not go to UW, but I was talking to a number of my friends who were around me who did go to UW. What's with the student section? By that I mean, okay, so the game, it's a 3 o'clock game. So it's not even like an 11 o'clock game and you got students that are hungover and can't get there. It's a 3 o'clock game. I swear when the game started, the student section was only about half full. Now, it filled up as the game went on, late arriving crowd. And then after the third quarter, they do the jump around, and then it started to empty out again. But you want to say, UW students, you're supposed to be there rooting for your team. You're supposed to be fans, for goodness sakes. Get to the game on time and stay to the bitter end. The rest of us did. Okay. The Middle East, of course, continues to be an absolute mess on many levels, and we'll talk about a couple levels of this. One of the big things that I think is surprising some people is, have you noticed the price of gasoline? Gasoline has actually gone down in cost over the course of the last week or two. Matter of fact, there were some places I was driving around on over the weekend. There were some places where gas was less than $3 a gallon. Matter of fact, if you get into the western suburbs around here, it was less than $3 a gallon. And I think a lot of people were kind of surprised at that, because you think, okay, you've got this unrest in the Middle East. What's going on? And we remember what happened to gasoline prices when Russia got invaded the Ukraine. Well, the difference is Hamas, the Gaza Strip, Israel, the Palestinians, it really doesn't affect oil at all. I mean, it's not like they're mining they're drilling for oil or producing oil in Gaza. It's not like Israel produces oil. So this really has no effect on oil prices, except to the extent that if this spreads throughout the Middle East, then you can have definitely some reaction. I think that's what some people are watching. But at least as long as the war doesn't spread to more countries in the region, there's very little effect on the oil market. And now, of course, we're moving out of the summer driving season, so demand is a little bit less. But if you're wondering, why hasn't gasoline gone through the roof as a result of this, it's because, again, no oil produced in this particular portion of the region. Now, again, if this conflict spreads, and I think it's 6-5 pick'em as to whether it does spread, but assuming it does not spread, I don't think that you're going to see a massive increase in gasoline prices, at least, if it remains to the status quo. Okay. I want to talk about some issues related to the Middle East, but in I guess a couple specific things, and then we're going to do some lighter stuff and some political stuff as we move on. The goat rope in Washington continues, and I just sort of shake my head. All right, PolitiFact. I remember when they first started PolitiFact, and the idea was we are going to fact check politicians, and we will provide a public service. Well, that was the idea. That's not how PolitiFact works in the real world. PolitiFact, the reporters are very, very political. And so what they do is they pick and choose statements. So, okay, here we're going to focus on Donald Trump, and we're going to take various statements that Trump makes or that so-and-so makes, and we're going to try to focus on this. And we're going to give kind of our own spin, because a lot of times when you have statements, they're statements that contain opinions in them. And so then you have people who disagree with those opinions, so they set out to kind of argue, make counter-arguments. But it doesn't mean that the statements are necessarily false. It just means that there are those opinions. So, I think PolitiFact has been a complete and total disaster. And even though it had noble goals, it's not how it developed. Like I was saying earlier, one of the things has to do with stuff that Trump says. Gets PolitiFact on a regular basis. And if you're a regular listener to this program, you know that I'm not a huge fan of Donald Trump, and I continue to believe that he's not going to be the Republican nominee moving forward, although I confess that whenever I say that, I know a lot of people roll their eyes. Trump also has a history of saying outrageous things. But just because he says outrageous things doesn't necessarily mean that there are not elements of truth in it. So here's what the latest PolitiFact is. All right. The other day, he goes to his Truth Social, which is his, internet social media thing, and he says, the same people that raided Israel are pouring into our once beautiful USA through our totally open southern border at record numbers. Are they planning an attack within our country? Crooked Joe Biden and boss Barack Hussein Obama did this to us. Okay, so he's saying that there are potential terrorists that are coming in through the southern border. So PolitiFact decides to weigh in, saying Trump's statement leaves the impression that Hamas militants, the terrorist group in Gaza that attacked Israel, are crossing the border in Mexico in the United States. Trump provided no evidence to back up his claim and did not elaborate. Terrorism experts tell PolitiFact that there's not necessarily any proof to back up that claim. At this point in time, I want to stop for a moment. Again, Trump is given to hyperbole. The same people that raided Israel are pouring into our once beautiful USA. And so I understand he's using the word pouring, and that implies that there is this massive influx of terrorists that are coming in through the southern border. All right. Now, of course, part of the problem is that when people come into this country illegally, we don't have any way of defining whether or not they are a terrorist. I mean, what are you going to do? Pull somebody out of somebody who's come into this country illegally who may or may not have been apprehended? What are you going to do? Pull them across and pull them outside and say, are you a terrorist? And are they going to say, yes, we're a terrorist? Okay, so the problem is this is like trying to prove a negative. How can you prove that there are no terrorists coming across? And again, I understand Trump is saying pouring across, and that implies that half of the people that are coming in through the leaky southern border are terrorists. And I don't think anybody would necessarily suggest that that is fair. But at the same time, think back to September 11th. And I understand for many people that is just a distant memory. But who was it responsible for carrying out, actually implementing September 11th? It was people who came into this country. In many cases, they came in on student visas, et cetera, overstayed the visas, and we did nothing. We just let them stay in this country and, again, come up with the September 11th plan. Now, I appreciate PolitiFact says Hamas not pouring across southern border. All right, I will accept that. At the same time, is there really anybody out there that does not believe that at least somewhere among the 8 or 9 or 10 or 11,000 people coming across illegally on a daily basis, is there anybody out there that doesn't believe that there might be a percentage, and maybe it's only 1%, 2%, whatever, of people who are sympathetic to the idea of we need to maintain a jihad against America? And the problem is we're never going to be able to know that until, just like with 9/11, until those people act out. So Trump says they're pouring across the border. Okay, I understand you can take issue with that phrase. But seriously, does anybody believe that all the people that are coming across the border, of all those people, the thousands every day, that mixed in with the people who are coming seeking humanitarian relief or whatever, there are not people who among them would like to do the United States harm? 855-616-1620. That's the old National Bank talk and text line. I mean, I guess I just found this PolitiFact thing to be just incredibly naive. Yeah, you could say, well, Trump couldn't quantify it. Well, I don't know how you quantify that. And maybe there's a bit of hyperbole there. But this idea that, okay, everybody who is pouring across the border illegally on a daily basis, that there's nobody among them that would wish to do the United States harm, I think is incredibly naive, which is another reason why you can't have open borders. 855-616-1620. That's the old National Bank talk and text line. We discuss in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this. There's no better green and gold insider than from the man who wore the green and gold himself, Bart Tauscher.
The thing you hear all through training camp, if you're an undrafted free agent or a late pick, is, hey, you're trying out for our team, but you're also putting film up there for the other 31.
Bart Tauscher is our green and gold insider every Wednesday at 4:15 on Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
I like his moxie. You know what? We're going to keep him on the 53.
Presented by your Wisconsin Chevy dealers.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
I know some of our best weather happens in the fall, but I also know what comes next. Homeowners, this is your time to break out the checklist and prepare for some of Wisconsin's harshest weather in the winter. Here are some hot points to check so you are prepared for this upcoming winter season. Make sure your gutters and downspouts are free and clear of debris. This is a must-do before winter. Pick a nice day and clean everything out so water can flow through. This will help reduce the amount of ice that can build up after a snowstorm. From the ground, check if your roof and chimney are sealed and ready. Please don't go onto the roof for a couple reasons. Safety is number one. If you don't normally walk on roofs or on sloped surfaces, then staying off the roof will assure your safety. Excessive walking on your roof could damage the shingles, so you want to leave it to a professional if you want somebody up on your roof. Check your attic and make sure the vents are free of debris and air is circulating throughout the attic. A well-ventilated attic will dramatically reduce the chance of moisture issues when the temperatures drop. You wouldn't believe how many homeowners live in cold homes and their windows are unlocked. Check and make sure your windows are locked and seals are intact. Many old windows can be locked and still drafty. Those windows need to be replaced to really save on energy costs and dramatically improve the comfort in your home. By checking your home and making sure it is in tip-top shape makes so much sense. And it is way better to be a proactive homeowner in the fall instead of a reactive homeowner in January.
Eric and his crews at Siding Unlimited are your home's go-to contractor here. Take your next step and check them out at sidingunlimited.com. Siding Unlimited, siding and a whole lot more.
Back for more. Here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
855-616-1620. I guess this PolitiFact thing that struck me because I understand it's Trump, and I understand Trump has all this kind of hyperbole and terrorists are pouring across our southern border, and I appreciate that may be an overstatement when you say pouring across, but at the same time, you got to understand that there's 8,000 plus people coming across illegally on a daily basis. In many cases, they're not apprehended; they just kind of meld into the fabric of society, and I think it is incredibly naive for people to believe that some of, and again, pick what your percentage is going to be, that some of those thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are coming across every day are not people who are sympathetic to, again, some of these terrorist causes. Now, I think that I concede the biggest problem is probably of people who are affiliated with cartels and drug gangs and things like that, if you're looking at the criminal element. But this idea that, the mess we have at the southern border, there's no possible connection to any future international terrorism. I think that is wishful thinking in the extreme. And it's the kind of wishful thinking that led to 9/11, where, all right, nobody's going to do us harm. Here, we'll have these people come in from different countries and we'll on visas, and we'll let the visas expire, and we'll just let these people hang out. And then, it determines that they're out there to do us harm. Pouring across, I understand the hyperbole and stuff, but I think by just ignoring this issue, it's another thing that, it's another reason why for the people who are the Open Borders gang, you got to realize that there are people out there in the world who want to do us harm and will take advantage of lapses in our security to be able to do that. Because once you get into this country and you kind of meld into it and disappear into it, good luck finding people. Okay, let's start with Doug on the east side. Hi, Doug.
Thanks for taking the call. I think It's a good topic. I agree with you that you can't just have open borders. You can't just have people come in, and there certainly is the fear that there will be some bad people coming across the border. Yeah, agreed. But I think the problem is we don't have an immigration policy. And the hyperbole doesn't help, because then you have one extreme, oh my gosh, we can't let anybody in. Mm-hmm. And on the other side, we can't just say, well, we'll let everybody in. And our dysfunctional government right now drives me crazy, because we should be all talking about a good solution to our immigration problem and come up with a policy so that we don't have this problem.
Yeah, I think, Doug, I think that we as a country missed a huge opportunity a number of years ago to really try to work out a solution where we said, okay, for example, let's deal with the dreamers. Let's deal with the people that have been in this country, came in as kids, have been here for 20 years, and this is really the country they know. Let's figure out, maybe as a starting point, right, let's figure out a way to let these people stay, because they're not creating a problem. As a general rule, they're not creating a problem. Figure out a path to legal residency, if not citizenship. And the trade-off is, all right, we've really got to tighten the borders, because you can't continue to have thousands of people. That was an opportunity, and it was a missed opportunity because people on both sides screwed it up. Conservatives said, well, they're here illegally, even if they've been here illegally for 25 years. What part of illegal don't you understand? And people on the left who wanted the open border said, no, we can't limit it. We missed a huge opportunity a few years ago.
I agree with that. And I think if we can all say, look, I want, a polarized view to the right, or I want a polarized view to the left. Yeah, I know you want that, but let's come up with a solution rather than just having it be a free-for-all, which it is right now. And that would help everybody.
Yeah, no, thanks. And again, I don't disagree. I mean, like I say, that was a missed opportunity because people on both the right and the left, we couldn't agree. We can't limit the number of people who are pouring in. Now look what that has led to. And at the same time, we don't, as I've been arguing for years, we don't have the immigration judges. We don't have the resources to try to round up and deport people who, the dreamers, for example, in the case I'm giving, we don't have the resources to try to deport these people who've been here for 20 or 25 years and are not creating problems at all. So you need to have the kind of these practical solutions. But again, you have absolutists on both sides. That's the reality of all this. 855-616-1620. Jeff, although you may have a point, I'm thinking that anyone who wants to do America harm, the easiest way to get in the country would be some other way without drawing attention to themselves, even with a lockdown border. Well, again, please understand, I'm not arguing that by tightening the border, you guarantee that you're not going to have people who come into this country who plot to do us harm. Because, again, 9/11 is the best example of that. I'm just saying, and I guess the fact that PolitiFact just chose, in large part because it was Trump and because there was hyperbole, to just dismiss this concept that, there's no possible link at all to future terrorists who are pouring in from South America through the sieve that is the border down there. I think that's incredibly naive. Let's talk to Josh in West Bend. Josh, you're on WTMJ.
Hey, Josh.
Hi, Josh. Go ahead.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know that my dad spent about 32 years in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
He was 1-star. He was just under 1-star general. In the Army. And he said straight out, what Trump was doing with building that wall was the correct thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
The problem we have is we have no immigration procedures in place, as our government is so crooked, it's not even funny. Crooked, what I mean by crooked is our pencil pushers over in Washington, if they would actually do something for the American people, and instead of the big money that is out there, and everybody's willing to just fork over their values and to make more money in their pocket. If they would do something great for the American people, and to do something, especially the middle class, would be awesome.
Well, Josh, thanks for the call. I mean, look, I guess you can look at motivations, but unfortunately, we don't have those great statesmen that are out there. One of our texters makes an interesting point, and this was the point. As I said last week, I was attending a couple funerals, including a very dear friend of mine who passed away, who was a mover and shaker in the local Jewish community and the American Jewish community. And he's really helped me, our friendship over the last several years, and has really helped me get a better handle on international issues, but also local issues and the Jewish experience in America. And it was at the service and some of the things afterwards, I was talking to people, and a lot of people were making the same point that one of our texters makes, which is, Jeff, keep in mind, Iran, Hamas hate Israelis and want to wipe them off the face of the earth. Number one. Yeah, that is correct. It's not just about land. We want to retake the homeland from Israel, but it is, and this goes back centuries. It's this fundamental hate that people don't believe. Some people don't believe that Jews have a right to exist. And the texter goes on to make a point that the infidels, wiping Israel and Israelis off the face of the earth is goal number one. The infidels in America are number two on their hit list. Yeah, and I understand that's a foreign concept to some people, but that I think is exactly the case. And that's why, once again, without being alarmist, I think it's incredibly naive to just assume that, we have this huge problem with people coming in across the southern border, and that doesn't reflect, there's not the people that are bent on the destruction of America. They're not in that group. Can you quantify it? No, you're never going to be able to quantify it until and unless there's another terror attack, and hopefully that will not happen, but until there's another terror attack, in this country. Then you go back and you say, okay, how did they enter? Oh, these people came in, in 2023 in, August as part of the 8,000 people that were coming across the border every day. Oh, well, then we learn. Well, maybe we need to at least think about this in advance, and just another reason why it might be in the interest to get control of our borders. Okay, a different question related to this coming up in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. Your weekly Bucks breakdown is back.
They want to win equally as bad as I do.
Bucks Weekly on WTMJ.
Now he joins a team where you have, as he has put it, the best player in the league.
And a new year brings new faces.
You'll see that I've gotten better year after year after year after year.
Get the latest news, analysis, and insight on your Milwaukee Bucks all season long. Bucks Weekly with Justin Garcia every Monday night at 8 on WTMJ. And catch the podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
This is WTMJ. All these years, I continue to push the wrong button. Jeez. This is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner for the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network. Lifelong mobility is dependent upon healthy joints. We talked to Dr. Michael Decker, a great guy. He's an orthopedic surgeon with the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin's Health Network. We learned how timely treatment of joint problems can help keep you moving, why these conditions are so common. We talked about non-surgical options and lots more. Listen to that conversation and all our previous everyday health discussions. We've been doing it for around 15 years simply by visiting the features drop-down menu at WTMJ.com.
Artwork, especially original artwork, can be pricey. But when you take it in on consignment from nice people like you who are just ready to change the look of their home, you can price it right. And you'll find a lot of it at Design Exchange. Beautiful frame pieces by a number of notable artists. And new ones pop in all the time. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
In Heartland, you're going to find a focus on distinctive furniture, unique antiques, and original artwork, along with tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. In Pewaukee, the focus is on kitchen, outdoor, and garden decor, and all of it is priced at 25 to 40% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value.
Design Exchange.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Jeff, as as you and a previous caller said, solutions. Unfortunately, the government we have now is not about solutions. All people care about is sound bites that their constituents will like. In the meantime, a bunch of unelected bureaucrats run the show as they wish. Well, it is one of these frustrating things, and I admit, as I get older, I get more frustrated with this. To me, politics has and should be, as I always say, it's the art of the possible. It's, what accomplish the most you can. When I look at elections, I want the most conservative candidate who can get elected. All right, that's the thing. I'm not an ideologue about it. When it comes to policies, if you have divided government, for example, Wisconsin, we've got divided government. Tony Evers is the governor. Republicans have overwhelming control of the state legislature. Okay, well, that's where the checks and balances come in. If you can get, 60% of the things you want or 70% of the things that you want in divided government, to me, that's a win. That's a win because you're not going to be able to get everything you want. But unfortunately, we have too many people who are just absolute ideologues. And, well, if this isn't everything I want, if I can't get everything that I think, if this isn't perfect, well, I'm not going to support it. And to me, that's just... It's just kind of it's sort of the crazy talk. The best example I always give is think about your real life. You go in and you don't want to walk away from your job, right? You want to stay at your job, and you go in and you say to your boss, okay, this is my list of 5 things. And you're able, and number 1 and 2 are most important, at least in your mind. And your boss says, okay, well, I can't give you all 5, but I can give you 1 and 2, which are your most important things, and I can give you 3. Okay, so then it's like, well, no, I didn't get all 5, so I'm going to be unhappy. Sometimes it's just, again, politics being the art of the possible. Real life is the art of the possible. And sometimes, compromise really isn't a bad word. I mean, you have to be able to make deals or else you're not going to go anywhere. Okay, let's talk about a different aspect of this. The new numbers that are out. After the invasion by Hamas of Israel, in the neighborhood of over 1,000 people killed in that attack, and a number of people taken hostage. The latest estimates, and again, they are estimates this morning, and they come from IDF, which is the Israel Defense Forces. They say that their best estimate right now is that there are 199 people who are being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza. So let's round up. Let's say 200. Of those, of those summer foreigners, the State Department confirmed on Sunday that 30 U.S. citizens were killed in the attacks, and they said that there's 13 citizens missing. So, I mean, there could be an extra 13 American citizens who are dead, or I think it's reasonable to assume that some or all of those are part of that 200 people that are being held hostage. And this, of course, includes its women, its children, its senior citizens. That's what's going on there. So you have that whole dynamic that is occurring. So Israel is massing for an attack on Gaza. Their goal is to destroy Hamas, which is the terrorist group that runs the Gaza Strip. And for people who haven't been following this, that the Gaza Strip it's about 7 miles wide at its widest. It's 25 miles long. It's on Israel's southern border, and then the southern border of the Gaza Strip is then Egypt. And so it's 2.5 million people there, densely populated. So what Israel is saying is, look, they have cut off humanitarian aid. They've shut off fuel. They've shut off food. There's no electricity in that area. And they are saying, as a condition of turning this back on, we want every one of these hostages released. To try to recover the hostages is going to be a really, really difficult sort of operation because, Gaza, the Hamas has spent years and years. You're talking about high-rise apartment buildings. It is incredibly dense. It is an incredibly urban area. There are tunnels that link that go from one building to another. So if you've got hostages, it's not like I don't know. It's not like they're all being held. It's not like back in the Iranian hostage situation where you had most of them that were being held hostage after the U.S. Embassy was taken over. Now you've got of these 200 people. They're scattered out all over the city. They might be in these tunnels, et cetera, et cetera. But Israel is saying, if you want us to turn the power back on, if you want us to turn the lights back on, we need every one of these hostages released. 855-616-1620. Is that a reasonable position to take? My answer is you bet. And for the different, regimes across the country, across the world that might, support this effort to eradicate Israel, this to me is one of the true red lines, which is, all right, the hostages need to be released. Iran should be putting pressure on Hamas. Release the hostages. Period. All these other countries in the Middle East that at least give lip service to, wanting to have peace in the region, they should be putting pressure on Hamas. Release the hostages. 855-616-1620. I think Israel is quite within its rights to say, look, you want us to start allowing, again, food and fuel and things in there. The condition is the hostages, each and every one of them, be released. And this idea that you're threatening to behead them and film it and then put it up on the internet, sorry, if that's how if you're going to behave in a barbaric fashion like that, well, okay, then you're not getting anything along the lines of what you want. 855-616-1620. Is this a reasonable position? We don't even begin the process of calling off a ground attack. We don't even begin the process of turning back on the power until and unless every single hostage is released. 855-616-1620. We discuss.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
It's WTMJ's Debbie Loziga for Comfort Awnings. You've heard me talk about the wonderful new retractable awning the team at Comfort Awnings installed at my home. Now I can have all the cookouts and get-togethers in my backyard with some extra shade and relaxation for my guests. Comfort Awnings is a local family-owned company in Burlington. It provides expert installation in southeast Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Right now, you'll receive a free motor with the purchase of awnings or screens until the end of October. Call 414-AWNINGS for a free estimate or visit comfortawnings.com.
You're back at the gym. Your new gym outfit? On point. Your new sneakers? Baller. You've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with Access Checking. It's maintenance fee-free with no minimum balance requirements. So when you take your first yoga class in 10 months, your body might surprise you, but your checking account won't. You've got this with Access Checking from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Are you looking for the perfect restaurant for your next night out? Then make Aria, the acclaimed restaurant inside St. Kate, your next dinner destination. Specializing in artisanal American cuisine, Aria features carefully prepared seasonal entrees along with a robust selection of craft cocktails, wine, and local beer. Join them on Sundays for the restaurant's famous trademark chicken, served family style with sides like mashed potatoes, goat cheese biscuits, and more. Make your plans today to dine at Aria. Learn more and make reservations at aria@stkate.com. That's aria@stkate.com.
We asked people why they sold their homes to Grandview Homes instead of using a real estate agent.
We needed to sell Mom's home quickly and with a company we could rely on.
No showings, no closing costs, no staging, no real estate agent fees, no added stress.
Whether you have a hard-to-sell home, want a stress-free sale, or simply need to sell your home fast, Grandview Homes is the name you know and the name you can trust. Visit GrandviewHomes.com to discover the easiest and fastest way to sell a home.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. Jeff, the hostages are probably in Iran now, and $6 billion for hostages will start over again. Jeff, Israel cannot compromise their position. Otherwise, other rogue groups will follow Hamas's action. That is the problem that exists. Now, I don't like to read editorials and stuff, but there's one in the Wall Street Journal today that just absolutely nails it. And I understand that this will be an uncomfortable truth for some people. Now, before I launch into this, let me just say, while I think the Biden presidency has been largely a disaster, I think Biden's approach in Ukraine has been correct. Supporting the Ukraine government, trying to keep the United States with a low profile, helping build the coalition of NATO, etc. So I don't criticize him on Ukraine, but I do believe that things that Biden did prior to the Russian invasion helped enable Russia. So here's the point. The editorial is called Biden, Deterrence, and Iran. The ruling mullahs in Tehran have to know that their targets are at risk if they escalate the war against Israel. An unfortunate reality of the Biden presidency has been the failure of deterrence since the chaotic retreat from Afghanistan. Remember, that's when Biden just bailed on people who'd been fighting alongside us in Afghanistan. White House warnings didn't deter Putin from invading Ukraine, and they haven't stopped Iran's proxies from attacking U.S. forces or facilities some 83 times. Now we'll see if U.S. warnings deter Iran from unleashing Hezbollah and other proxies from opening a second or third front against Israel. Hezbollah is, of course, Hezbollah is the terrorist operation that is backed by Iran that is in Lebanon, which is on the Israel northern border. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said on CBS's Face the Nation Sunday that the U.S. has used private channels to warn Iran not to escalate the war that its proxy Hamas started by invading Israel and Gaza. The U.S. has backed up that warning by dispatching a carrier strike force to the eastern Mediterranean and aircraft to the Persian Gulf region. The Pentagon says another carrier group is on the way. These are formidable military assets, but deterrence depends on whether adversaries believe a U.S. president is willing to use them. When warnings are issued but not followed up after adversaries attack anyways, U.S. credibility and deterrence erode. Recall Barack Obama's infamous red line against the use of chemical weapons in Syria, and then chemical weapons are used and we do nothing. Iran's supreme leader has reason to doubt President Biden after the U.S. responded militarily to only 4 of those 83 attacks by Iran's proxies. Will he believe Biden now? If U.S. deterrence fails again, Mr. Biden will have little choice other than to respond with military force if he wants to retain any credibility. Hamas terrorists killed at least 29 Americans in their bloody assault, and an unknown number of U.S. citizens are captives in Gaza. A president's first obligation is to protect American citizens, and if those captives die in Hamas' hands, he should also hold Iran responsible. The Ayatollahs in Tehran need to understand that more than their terrorist proxies are at risk. They need to know that their nuclear sites and oil fields are also on the target list. If they think Mr. Biden fears a larger war, they are more likely to escalate this one, and many more people, including Americans, will die. I agree with that. I agree with that absolutely, completely. And this is the thing. America draws red lines. Barack Obama says no chemical weapons in Syria. Chemical weapons in Syria get used, and then, we end up doing nothing. If you're going to have deterrence, what you need to do is be willing to back that up. So I hope they're saying to Iran, stay out of this, because if you, again, decide that you're going to try to launch other attacks against Israel or whatever, then we're going to get involved. And I don't want to see the U.S. get involved in the shooting war out there. You hope that cooler heads will prevail. But right now, you've got this terrorist organization that poses a massive threat to Israel, has acted out, and is taking prisoners. As a starting point, what needs to happen is Iran and some of the other countries in that region that might be sympathetic to Hamas, they need to be putting pressure on, saying, look, you got to release these hostages. That is a starting point for wherever we go. And there's other things that need to be done as well. But you've got to release the hostages first. And we can't discuss anything until that happens. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Hey, Brian. I think it's time to get serious about new windows and front door for our home.
I agree. It will save us money in the long run to eliminate the draft.
I was thinking more about our curb appeal, but yes, the draft thing too.
J&J Contractors in Greendale have been around for 40 years and have great reviews.
Go give them a call.
J&J Contractors' skilled and certified team uses high-quality materials for all your exterior needs. J&J Contractors do it all. Windows, doors, siding, roofing, and gutters.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. I'm looking for the creepiest tub or shower. My guys at Sidex want to replace your tub or shower. The winner gets a brand new complete tub or shower conversion installed at no cost by Sidex, up to a $10,000 value. They're doing the conversion in my house. Go to WTMJ.com/contest. Everyone's eligible if you live within 50 miles of Milwaukee. Creepiest tub or shower, you get a brand new one. Send us a picture of your creepiest tub or shower. I'll announce the winner live on Wisconsin's Afternoon News on Halloween.
Is your paycheck not going as far as it used to? You'll make good money at John Deere Horicon Works. Full-time factory workers at John Deere Horicon Works start at $23 to $25 per hour plus health insurance with no premiums and annual wage increases. Potential bonuses, $1,000 sign-on bonuses, and more at John Deere Horicon Works. So if you're tired of that small paycheck, move up to the big time at John Deere Horicon. Apply now at Deere.com/Horicon. That's Deere.com/Horicon.
Is your home drafty and cold in the winter? Retro Foam of Southeastern Wisconsin will fill your walls, lower your heating and cooling bills, and give you an airtight seal with their foam insulation. It's all done from the exterior of your home without any hassle or mess. Retro Foam offers a lifetime no-cost warranty with a property protection guarantee. They take pride in their customer service, treating all customers like family. Get 0% financing for 5 years if you call and mention WTMJ. Call today at 262-234-FOAM. That's 262-234-FOAM.
Most companies focus on the product. At Semperfi, we focus on our people and you, and that's never let us down. That's why you can count on Semperfi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
The all-new Potawatomi Casino Hotel has something you gotta see. Play more slots and games, and you could say, "Show me the money," to reveal up to 10 grand each Thursday. 800,000 in prizes is up for grabs. 40 winners each week. This October and November at Potawatomi, Milwaukee. When you're ready to win, just say, "Show me the money." More info at paysbig.com. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Time is running out to make money moves that can only be done in 2023. Have you taken every step to maximize savings and minimize taxes this year? If there's even a hint of uncertainty, we've got your back. Go to creativeplanning.com/radio and request your free essential end-of-year plan. You'll talk with one of our certified wealth managers who will help you discover what you might be missing. This offer is only available till Monday at midnight. creativeplanning.com/radio.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
We are going to move on from the discussion of the Middle East after the top of the hour news. But it's one of these situations where I think nobody knows what's going to happen, and you hope cooler heads prevail. But let me just share a couple, of the texts we've gotten on this. Jeff, I'll go a step further. A minute the Hamas terrorists spilled 1 ounce of U.S. blood and took our citizens hostage, that was an invitation to get your butt kicked by the U.S. Armed Forces. We should do it now. Clear out the West Bank of these maniacs and then erase the Iranian government. Keep a base in Iran forever to keep the extremists in check. Well, easier said than done. And the last thing you want is a shooting war with Iran. That's just kind of the bottom line. Here's it, Jeff. I want to state that it is the only moral and humane stance to demand the return of every hostage. I have friends and family in Israel. I received videos from them of these despicable, inhuman animals in a full terrorist garb with their heads covered fully in black masks, holding infants and baby hostages, mocking the children, holding them, completely vile and disgusted. I feel physically ill from the actions of these monsters. I hope every one of these Hamas terrorists is killed by the IDF, Israel Defense Force. Well, that is a large part of the issue here. And it's been one of the reasons why things are so intractable in the Middle East, that this attack on Israel wasn't really about land. And I do think it's important for people to know that. What happens is you have some of these militant groups that are about killing Jews. Yes, would they like to kill all the Jews in Israel to take back that land? Yes. But they're about killing Jews, which is what the Holocaust was about. And I think it's very, very naive to think that if somehow these militant forces were able to succeed in killing all the Jews in Israel, they would be satisfied. Because, I mean, the goal is, it's the jihad. The goal is to exterminate Jews everywhere. So I think it's very, very naive, and this ties back into what we were talking about at the beginning of the program. I think it is naive to assume that when you look at people who are coming into this country illegally, that there's not anybody who is inclined to do what they tried to do on 9/11. And you have to understand, and maybe this just reinforces the nature of evil that is in the world. This isn't about territory. I mean, at least it's not just about territory, but it's about other things as well. It's about, extermination. And I don't think some of these militant groups, they're not going to be happy. They're not going to be successful until, again, all the infidels have been killed. And that's, if you don't recognize and don't realize that's what Israel's fighting for. So, I understand you have this, you have some of the newspaper writers who are sitting there talking about, well, this is, we can't invade Gaza. If they invade Gaza, there's going to be these civilian casualties and stuff. Well, okay, but allowing Hamas to continue to operate simply guarantees that as time goes on, there will be more attacks and more efforts to exterminate everyone that is in Israel. And that's just kind of the reality that is out there, and it's the reality that I think people have to confront and deal with in trying to decide, how does this happen? And the only way this moves on is if some of these militant groups who have demonstrated no regard for life at all, if they are effectively eliminated. Now, I'm not smart enough to know what the ultimate solution in Gaza is. Is it a two-state solution? And I'm not going to argue that I think Israel has handled the whole Palestinian question in the best way. But I do know that you cannot allow yourself to be attacked, and it's unreasonable to expect people to say, okay, they've just taken hostages and killed all these people, now we expect you to turn the other cheek. I also think there is an incredible ignorance that exists in this country and other parts of the world about what is truly going on there. I told the story the other day. One of as part of these campus protests, I remember seeing a sign, and somebody was holding, and it was members of the LGBTQ community, and somebody was holding a sign that said, trans for Palestine. And I wanted to say, do you have any idea how a transgender person would be treated in a country ruled by Hamas or in Iran? Do you have any idea, how that would handle? And I'm thinking the incredible clueless is transgenders for Palestine. Okay, well, my advice is, don't go over to Palestine, don't go over to Gaza, don't go to Iran and walk around with a sign that says, hey, I'm transgender, because I think you're going to, if you think that you are not treated with enough tolerance in the United States, I think you'd be in an incredible I think you'd be shocked at how you would be treated, if, for example, you were in Iran. The cluelessness that goes on sometimes is absolutely staggering. Okay, the government wants you to buy them. The car manufacturers want you to buy them, but we're not buying them. What's going on? That's where we pick up the program right after the top of the hour news.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
When big national banks make a decision, it requires many emails, phone calls, and plenty of video conferences from around the globe. When we make a banking decision, we do it over a cup of coffee in our office. Finding a local bank that's passionate about the community and knows your name is hard to find these days.
Good morning, Diane. Welcome back.
The search is over.
Waterstone Bank, proud to be your local bank for over 100 years. Love your bank as much as we love this community. Waterstone Bank, Waukesha, Milwaukee, and Washington County.
Member FDIC.
Hi, John McGivern here. Did you know Network Health Medicare Advantage plans start at $0 a month? And you can get the extra benefits you need, like dental, vision, over-the-counter items, and more? I know because I'm a member myself. Call 833-7-NETWORK to learn more today. Network Health Medicare Advantage plans include PPO plans with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Network Health Medicare Advantage plans depends on contract renewal.
Goodyear, Dunlop, Kelly, Continental, General, you name it, we got it.
Plus, free flat tire repair, free tire rotations, and more.
So when you're due for tire service, schedule it at richlawns.com.
That's Rich Lawns with 2 N's.
Rich Lawns.
The workplace has changed a lot thanks to technology, and more recently, the shift to a flexible or remote schedule. Your business must adapt to maintain a great culture, attracting quality candidates and keeping them. You need Smart Spaces. The team of interior integrators at Smart Spaces brings creativity and expertise, assessing the walls, ceiling, lighting, flooring, furniture, and audiovisual systems to create places that matter in the modern world, fully functional for those in the building and for others to interact remotely. Get started today at smartspaceswi.com.
Haul away big savings this weekend at Fleet Farm's Truckload Savings Event. Like 40-pound bags of superior hardwood fuel pellets, 2 for $11. Morton Clean and Protect water softener pellets are only $5.89 a bag. Save on 40 pounds of black oil sunflower seed, just $18.99. And get a free $15 Fleet Farm gift card with select Science Diet pet food. Stock up on everything you need for everyday life at Fleet Farm.
Champagne's not as cheap as ginger ale, and you can't buy caviar for the same price as candy. But right now, you can buy high-end Beautyrest and Sealy Posturepedic mattresses for nowhere near high-end prices. Hasseless Mattress is clearing out a handful of premium floor models. These mattresses are the best, and you can get them for way less. Like the Sealy Posturepedic Glendale Falls Queen was on sale for $955, now just $362. Or the Beautyrest Windsor Isle King was on sale for $2,077, but the floor model is just $623. Plus, save big on a Beautyrest Advanced Motion Adjustable Base. Was $999, now just $377. It's like buying a Rolls Royce for $10,000 just because it sat on the showroom floor. Selection is limited. Only a few floor models are available at each Hasseless location, and when they're gone for good. Find a self-service, employee-free showroom near you at Hasseless.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. The place to get caught up, to speak out, to connect and be entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Good afternoon. 1 o'clock, we have 55 degrees, mostly to partly cloudy, breezy today with a high 58. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. Oak Creek High School evacuated after some kind of threat this morning. No further details on that threat, but police did clear the building, and they're working to make sure it's safe before students can go back inside. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan trying to get enough votes to become the next House Speaker. He was the last candidate standing after Louisiana Republican Steve Scalise dropped out due to lack of support. 55 Republicans voted against him in a secret ballot last week, but some have changed their minds. Still, Jordan can only lose the support of 4 to become the next speaker. He told ABC's Rachel Scott he's confident things will work out when the vote comes to the House floor tomorrow.
The way we can help the American people is get the House open. We can't do that till we get a speaker, so let's get a speaker tomorrow and get back to work for the American people and help our dear and closest friend, the state of Israel.
A war between Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas is raging on as a ground invasion of Gaza appears imminent. At least 30 Americans have been killed, 13 still unaccounted for. Former President Donald Trump is dominating GOP primary fundraising.
Donald Trump is raising donations at an accelerated pace, with more than $24 million pouring into Trump's campaign account during the third quarter. That means the former president has nearly $36 million on hand for the primary entering October. He's been using the many criminal charges and cases against him as a point of fundraising. His GOP rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' campaign touted raising more than $11 million last quarter, though they did spend much of it in the same quarter. Emwin, ABC News, Washington.
Meanwhile, a judge is issuing a limited gag order against Trump in his federal election interference case. Order prohibits all parties from making statements publicly targeting special counsel Jack Smith and his staff, court staff, and potential witnesses. Federal judge, however, decided against restrictions on disparaging the Justice Department at large, which prosecutors had requested. State of Wisconsin currently sitting on an over $7 billion surplus, according to the Department of Administration. That amount eclipses the previous record of $4.3 billion recorded last fiscal year. DOA Secretary Kathy Blumenfeld says the state's ending balance for the 2023 fiscal year is over $196 million higher than previously budgeted. Quick Trip customers still can't use or access loyalty rewards or Quick Trip credit cards. Cybersecurity expert Alex Holden of Hold Security tells TMJ4 News it looks like a ransomware attack.
They are indeed dealing with hostage takers, the bad guys who got in their system and most likely trying to extort them. So this is not a normal situation. This is not likely a break of their hardware or something like that. It's not a bug. It's some hostile actions against the company and against the customers. It's a serious situation.
Quick Trip has not publicly acknowledged any threat exists to customers' private information. They have said they plan to roll out services over the next few days. Court today for the haunted house worker accused of sexually assaulting employees or volunteers at Scare USA Haunted House in Two Rivers. 37-year-old John Swartz Jr. facing several charges, including second-degree sexual assault of a child and 2 counts of child enticement. Swartz was arrested Thursday. Scare USA closed on Friday. The reason they gave, unforeseen circumstances. Authorities say there could be more victims. After a 6-month-long construction effort, the main road through downtown West Bend back open this week. The city celebrated the completion of the project with the ribbon cutting Friday. Main Street business owners tell TMJ4 News the $4.6 million revamp has been a net positive for the community, even with lower than average business this year due to the construction.
Business was definitely down over the summer, but we're really excited about the holiday season and bringing everyone back.
The street is like the frosting on the cake because we had a project for a couple of years where we did the Riverwalk on the backside of our building, and now to have the main street done too is just like the whole total project has come together.
Visitors will notice a new road, crosswalks, lighting, and audio system. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 327 points, S&P 500 up 46. The NASDAQ Composite is up 160. It's time for your retirement and investment strategy review from a fee-only fiduciary. Go to annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button now. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 104.
This report is sponsored by the White Lace Inn, Door County. Perfect for a small destination wedding.
Hello, Dennis from White Lace Inn here in beautiful Door County. White Lace Inn has been providing gracious elegance, sincere hospitality, and relaxing getaways since 1982. Wander garden pathways that connect each of the 4 Victorian homes, 18 rooms and suites that make up White Lace Inn. White Lace Inn is just minutes away from restaurants, museums, shopping, hiking, bike trails, and all of Door County. When evening comes, return to White Lace Inn, relax in front of a romantic fireplace and step into an inviting whirlpool bath for 2. Then climb into a luxurious bed for the night. The next morning, enjoy a delicious White Lace Inn breakfast, served with Door County coffee. White Lace Inn, consistently voted one of the most romantic inns of America. Whether it's a relaxing getaway, birthday, anniversary, honeymoon, or small destination wedding, amazing memories are waiting you at White Lace Inn. Open every night of the year. To find out more, take a tour at whitelaceinn.com. That's whitelaceinn.com.
This is the year to buy the woman you love a big anniversary diamond.
What's a big anniversary diamond?
A big anniversary diamond is any diamond that's at least twice as big as the one in her engagement ring.
Why twice as big?
A big anniversary diamond says, I love you twice as much today as the day I married you.
People are always so happy when they see the price we can give them.
Kessler's has wonderful prices on 1 carat, carat and a half, 2 carat, and 3 carat big anniversary diamonds.
People will ask you about your big diamond everywhere you go.
So big anniversary diamonds are the hot new trend?
It began with men buying big anniversary diamonds for the women they love. But now it's gone to a whole new level.
Women are now buying big anniversary diamonds for their men.
Women are saying 2 can play that game.
I like games that 2 can play.
Everybody likes games that 2 can play.
Welcome to Kessler's.
For the location nearest you, go to KesslersDiamonds.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
Break time for the Milwaukee Bucks debuted last night under the bright lights of Los Angeles. Damian Lillard and Giannis making their preseason debuts for the Bucks, and it did not take long for Dame Time to clock in on this one.
Damian Lillard's got it on the left wing. Lillard gonna fire away. 3-pointer, yeah, baby.
Dave Kane on the call there as Lillard added 3 of his 14 total points, and Giannis would add 16 as the Bucks go on for the 108-97 preseason win over the Lakers. The Texas Rangers take a 1-0 series lead in the ALCS ALCS with a 2-0 win over the Houston Astros on Sunday night. And lastly, breaking news out of Madison, starting quarterback for the Badgers, Tanner Mordecai has been diagnosed with a broken hand that required surgery on Sunday. The timetable for his return back from that injury is yet to be determined. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. Again, no major delays to report this hour. 94 westbound from the Zoo to Highway 16, a typical 11-minute drive. 43 northbound from the Marquette Interchange to Brown Deer Road, take you about 11 as well. And 94 southbound from the Marquette Interchange to Layton Avenue, about 6 minutes this afternoon.
This report sponsored by Evans Transportation Services, one company for accounting, shipping, and tracking.
Rely on one company for accounting, shipping, and tracking. Evans Transportation Services. Family owned for 40 years and continuing to grow. Evans Transportation Services in Delafield.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast, mostly to partly cloudy, breezy today after a high of 58, an overnight low 45 lakeside, 40 inland. Sunny and 61 tomorrow, partly cloudy Wednesday, a chance for rain in the evening with a high 65. Mostly cloudy, rainy on Thursday with a high 58, and mostly cloudy Friday, again, a high of 58. Madison 46, Green Bay 53, Milwaukee 53. I'm Connie Weber, Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 108.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. I do not know, Samantha, producing the show today, how brick and mortar stores are going to stay in business. I'm always fascinated by the way stuff works. So this morning, I'm upstairs in my office, and I'm kind of putzing around, and I'm getting ready for the show, and I need the paper in the printer is out. Okay, so I go to the closet where I have some reams of paper that are stacked up, and I notice that I'm down to like 3 reams of paper. Okay, well, so now there's a couple ways I could do this. I could say, okay, I need to buy another box of printer paper. I could, after work. And I got to get home after work because I got to take care of the dog because my wife has left me. She's in Minneapolis. She's coming back, but at least I think she is. She's visiting her granddaughter in Minneapolis, she's a sophomore at the University of Minnesota. So she's gone. So I got to get home to let the dog out after work and things like that. So I could say, okay, well, I can drive to one of the and there's a couple office supply stores that within 10 minutes of where I live. I could go do that. I could go and I could look and see how much the stuff costs, and then I could lift, these big boxes of paper, and I could haul it out, and I could put it in my car, and I could drive back, and I could haul it into the house. I could do that. Or alternatively, I could go to my Amazon account and look and see, this is what they have, and it is competitively priced. It's no more expensive than if I were to go to one of the office supply stores. It's probably cheaper, and I could hit a button, and it says delivery today between 3 and 6 p.m. Now, this is at 8:30 in the morning. Which one am I going to do? Well, it's easy. So then I'm thinking, printer ink. As long as I'm doing this, I'm down to my last printer ink cartridge. So what I could do is I could, again, go to the office supply store. I could look around, and I could hope that they have the particular brand of printer ink that I use, the particular size. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But, I could drive up there and do that. Or alternatively, I could go to Amazon.com. I could put in the printer ink I'm looking for. Boom, there it is for exactly the same price that I would pay at the office supply store, assuming the office supply store had it. I could hit the button, and it says, same-day delivery free since you're an Amazon Prime member between 3 and 6 p.m. So, all right, as much as I would love to drive, 15 minutes out of my way to an office supply store and shop and load this up, I hit the button, and then I get a note saying, okay, your order's received. Then 10 minutes later, I get this note saying your order has shipped. The order has shipped. How do they do this? I mean, that to me, it's like a miracle. I mean, it's an amazing thing that, I guess like copy paper, printer paper, okay, maybe that's kind of ubiquitous, but, this particular type of printer ink, or I've talked about this before with books. I'm an avid reader, but not necessarily of new releases. Sometimes I do that, but a lot of times what'll happen is I'll be reading the Wall Street Journal on Saturday, and they'll have a review of a new book that's come out, and it sounds interesting. But the person who's written the review, they'll say, okay, this is what this person has written, and I go, oh, that's kind of cool. Maybe I'd like to read that book. And so you have a book that's like 5 or 6 years old that's relatively obscure, talking about the German occupation in Paris during World War II. And you plug this in, and Amazon, yeah, we have it. We'll deliver it on Monday. This is Saturday morning. It is the challenge that brick and mortar stores face. Now, I understand maybe with clothing stores or things like that, the stuff where you want to be tactile. You want to actually, I want to go in, I want to feel this. What's the material like? I want to see if it fits me. But even then, I mean, I wear the same size blue jeans. I mean, so if I want to order a pair of blue jeans, I know the size, I know the style. But I understand that there's people that you want to go and you want to see what this looks like. So maybe for clothing, but for just these durable goods, I don't understand how this business model is going to work moving forward when you can, again, with a couple keystrokes, and no more money. And like I say, if you belong to Amazon Prime, it's free delivery. You can have the stuff at your door in the space of a couple hours. It's just, I don't know how this is. It's just an observation, but I just don't know how to do this. Jeff, ordered online at Walmart to pick up. I pull up, I pop up in the trunk, they load it up, and they drive away. Yeah, Jeff, Amazon has a great system for distribution. They must. They absolutely must. Jeff, we go into a physical store in between deliveries to get small orders here and there. It's convenient because there's a grocery store right across from our kids' high school. However, we use Amazon delivery for almost everything now, including even groceries. It's just easier, it saves time, and they always get my order right. We haven't gone the grocery route. I've never done that. Although there are some hard to find items. We have this. Because I am concerned about carbohydrates, there's this stuff out there called skinny pasta, and it's not pasta. It's made out of this like root of a plant that's grown in South America, and I forget what the name is off the top of my head. But they cut it into, they make it look like pasta. So you can find it at stores, but sometimes yes, sometimes no. So we just order it over the internet because I love it. I don't need to have the regular spaghetti that's pasta and full of carbs. You get this, I swear it tastes just like spaghetti. Some of the stuff doesn't, but this does. So we order it all the time, but you order it online, it comes and boom, and you're set, 4 packages. I just don't know how stores are going to survive moving forward because this business model, even if you want to support the local stores, and believe me, I do, you get to the situation where it's just so incredibly convenient. So that was how I spent my morning. My wife, again, she's up in Minneapolis, and I'm like, oh, I need paper. All right, here, we'll take care of the paper. Oh, I need printer's ink. We'll take care of that. And I'll get home and it will probably be there. All right. As long as we are talking about buying trends, well, I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break. When we come back, why aren't people ready to do what the government wants us to do yet? Stick around.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. Stay in touch. You can reach us on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old.
Let's talk for a minute about Gruber Law Offices. David Gruber and I went to law school together at Marquette years ago. Matter of fact, Gruber Law has been serving the people in the state of Wisconsin for well over 35 years. Giving back to the community is very important to them, and they get results that speak for themselves. And I'm here to tell you, you don't exist for 35 plus years unless you get results that speak for themselves. Their goal is to help people and families who are seriously injured in accidents. They'll stand up for victims. They'll take the burden off your shoulders. They focus on the legal aspect of things while their clients focus on healing. It's just one call. They handle the rest. They provide the best care, service, and representation, and that is what their priority is. Gruber Law is one of the largest personal injury firms in the Midwest. They're family-owned and operated, but they have a large, powerful team with resources to take on insurance companies. And like I say, they get results that speak for themselves. Here's how it works. There's no cost to call them. There's no cost for a consultation, and there's no fee to retain their firm. There's never a fee until they win your case. You can visit them at gruber-law.com to learn more about the firm and learn what they do in the community. If it's easier, you can give them a call, 414-276-6666.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Steve and Ashley heard our radio ads over the years, and when it came time to buy their first home, clicked on the blue button back in June. Senior loan consultant Brad Kramer issued a credit-verified pre-approval the same day and then upgraded to a rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval shortly thereafter. Well, they made a couple offers without success, and then Brad told them about our brand-new property-specific pre-approval letter where we might be able to include those magic words, no appraisal required. When they wrote their next offer at $30,000 over asking to make sure someone else didn't end up sleeping in their dream home, their updated rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval included the phrase that pays in the eyes and ears of the seller, and that translated to donedeal.com. If you think all mortgage companies and pre-approvals are the same, think again. Go with the local mortgage lender that has the tools and the know-how to help you win and save you money, too. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
I'm Randy Miller. In 1969, my Uncle Lou started a roofing and siding business called All Right. That company joined NARI, the National Association Remodeling Industry. 50 years later, I'm proud to be at the helm of both All Right and NARI Milwaukee as president. Integrity, ethics, and high standards build a legacy both in business and in life. I learned this from my Uncle Lou and the NARI leaders before me. Learn more at ALLRITE remodeling.com/NARI.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Okay, I knew this was going to happen. But I highly recommend it. The spaghetti, the non-pasta pasta that I love, and this isn't free advertising. It's called Skinny Pasta. And it's made with the konjac, Konjac, the konjac root. I know this sounds really weird, and I've tried this because I tried not to eat that many carbs, and so I've tried, but I love spaghetti, and I've tried a lot of different versions of this, of like the alternate things, and most of them have just tasted like mush. It's called Skinny Pasta. It's made by this Konjac, konjac root. And they have it in a number of different shapes. I happen to like the angel hair pasta, but they have regular spaghetti type pasta and things like that. But you got to have a good spaghetti sauce with it. And the one thing you do with this is normally you make, this is according to my wife, not like I would make it, but normally you make the pasta separate, then you have the sauce separate. At some point in time when you're cooking this, you mix the spaghetti sauce in with the pasta as you're preparing it. And we have just completely and totally exhausted the whole concept of how you prepare it. One of our texters says, well, it's expensive, but I'm going to give it a try. Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily cheap, but again, all I can say is if you're worried about carbs and if you're type 2 diabetic or something like that, and you're concerned about this, and you love to have spaghetti and things like this, and you're looking for an alternative, it's what we use around our house, and I don't even notice the difference. And so a lot of times we'll have like a pork chop, and we'll have some of this spaghetti, and it's like, how can you do it? But konjac is the name of the root. I think it's I think it comes from somewhere in South America. But if you're looking for an alternative, try that out. So that was it. All right. I don't know how we digressed on that. Because we ordered it from Amazon. Okay, so here's the deal. The government desperately wants you to buy electric vehicles. And so you have, Joe Biden that is pushing for, these limits. You have some states like California which are putting mileage limits on industrial, some of the internal combustion engines. So effectively, the idea is the automakers won't be able to manufacture as many regular cars that are at least non-EV cars, because what's going to happen is, in order to get their average miles per gallon, you're going to have to sell X number of EV cars to equal this out. And in some states like California, by what, like 1935 or 2035, you're not even going to be allowed to sell new internal combustion cars. So they're pushing it. You get, incredible tax breaks. And people, unless you're the very highest income earners, you can walk away with like a $7,500 tax break. Starting next year, I think you don't even have to wait till you file your tax return to get this. So there is this huge push to get people into electric vehicles, which brings me to a story in the Wall Street Journal. Automakers have high hopes for electric vehicles. Buyers aren't cooperating. Sales growth has slowed in the U.S. as car companies are finding a limited pool of customers willing to pay more for these models. The auto industry's push to boost sales of electric vehicles is running into a cold, hard reality. Buyers' interest in these models is proving more shallow than expected. While electric vehicle sales continue to grow, rising 51% this year through September, the rate has slowed from a year earlier, and unsold inventory is starting to pile up for some brands. Some car companies like Ford and Toyota are tempering their expectations for EVs and shifting more resources into hybrids, which have been drawing consumers at a faster clip. The first wave of buyers willing to pay a premium for a battery-powered car has already made that purchase, dealers and executives say, and automakers are now dealing with a more hesitant group, just as a barrage of new EV models are expected to hit dealerships in the coming years. The curve isn't accelerating as quickly as I think a lot of people expected. As a matter of fact, we're seeing it flatten a bit. The abrupt slowdown in EV sales is a contrast to a year ago when car makers found themselves caught off guard by long waiting lists for battery-powered cars and trucks. It's also a troublesome sign for car manufacturers plowing billions of dollars into building factories and battery plants to support what they hope will be a strong pickup in demand for plug-in models. Okay, so what this is essentially saying is the people, the early adopters, the people who wanted to buy electric cars, have by and large bought the electric cars. They've made those purchases. So this is the easy one. It's it's the people who've, the new iPhone 15 has come out. You've got those people that just have to have the most brand new phone. So they bought that. But now, how do you go beyond that relatively narrow slice and say, okay, now how do we get to the other people that are out there who aren't the early adopters? And when it comes to electric vehicles, this is the problem they're having. Now, look, I'm on record. If you're a regular listener to this program, I am on record as saying I want nothing to do with an electric vehicle. I don't. But at the same time, I have, if you're watching me on the YouTube channel, I'm counting on my fingers, I have at least 4 or 5 friends, at least, who own electric vehicles. Not as their first car, in some cases not even as their second car, but they own them as kind of fun things to drive. It's not their go-to daily driver, but they use it for fun. They use it, okay, we're going to drive this one around town, et cetera, and they love it. They love it. They get a few hundred miles per charge. It's perfectly fine to handle the needs around town. But if they were going to be going to the football game in Madison, no, they wouldn't do it. If they were going to the Packers game in Green Bay, no, they wouldn't do it. They take their regular car. But I know people who have it, and they absolutely love it. But again, it's their second or third car. It's kind of their play-around car as opposed to their daily driver. But maybe there's some people who use it otherwise. But our number is 855-616-1620. Okay, so now they're out there. They're saying the demand for electric vehicles is kind of plateauing. The early adopters, they're in. But now what they're finding is that next generation, people aren't sold on this. So here's what I would like to discuss with you. What is your big concern? Why is it, if it's the case, your next vehicle, you were interested in buying an electric vehicle and you can still get the $7,500, disc, brake and things like that. What is it right now that stops you from saying, okay, I'm going all electric. I'm watching all these commercials. I see all the stuff that's out there. I know the government wants me to do it. I know this is supposedly the wave of the future. What is it that's stopping you from, or will stop you from pulling the trigger at this point in time on the purchase of an electric vehicle. 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. We discuss in a moment.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join me as we count down to the RNC in Milwaukee. We'll talk to the biggest names across the political landscape.
Senior political reporter from TMJ4 News, Charles Benson.
You got a sense of, how Milwaukee was enthusiastic about this convention.
Full podcast available on WTMJ.com or text RNC to the Old National Bank talk and text line, 855-616-1620, and get a link sent directly to you. It's the countdown to the RNC podcast, only here on WTMJ.
Hey, it's 620 WTMJ's Brian D. You know what time of year it is. Snacks around Halloween. Lots of family photos through the holidays. Make sure those pearly whites are looking pearly and white. Go see my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Whether it's a simple cleaning and exam, a more complex dental procedure, a teeth whitening, or an implant, the team at Oconomowoc Dental Care and Dr. Michaels are going to take great care of you, just like they've taken great care of me. Centrally located between Milwaukee and Madison, the team at Oconomowoc Dental Care is always going to make you as comfortable as possible while you're in the chair and give both you and your family an amazing smile. At Oconomowoc Dental Care, affordable quality dentistry is no longer a dream, it's the reality. Dr. Michael's fantastic and friendly staff can help you out with a no-interest payment plan. We all have to go to the dentist, so don't wait any longer. Go see my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Call his friendly and caring staff today and make an appointment with my guy, Dr. Michaels.
Leave low yields in the dust and never look back. Rev up your return on investment with Syngenta. Our innovative portfolio of crop protection products outperforms and outyields any deal, giving you higher yield and profit potential at the finish line. Syngenta, where better yield is the better deal. Always read and follow label instructions.
All right, let's see here. Acuron corn herbicide. Powerful weed control? Check. Long-lasting residual? Check. Proven crop safety? Check. Acuron checks all the boxes, which is why it outperforms and outyields all other corn herbicides by 5 to 15 bushels an acre. Talk to your local Syngenta retailer or visit findmorebushels.com to discover your revenue potential today. Always read and follow label instructions. Acuron is a restricted use pesticide.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. At the end of the day, I always hate that phrase. It's a cliche. At the end of the day, it's all about consumer choices. And right now, this is starting to play out with electric vehicles. You had this like spike in electric vehicle purchases where you had a lot of the I'm calling them the early adopters, the people who wanted this. They've bought them. But now what they're finding is to reach out. The sales of electric vehicles are kind of flattening out as more and more people beyond that initial, here, we want to have the latest, the coolest, whatever, they're not buying them. And the sales are starting to flatten out, and this is even with all the government incentives, et cetera. And it's got a lot of these car makers extremely worried because they're supposed to be putting B as in billions of dollars into developing this infrastructure. And as the Wall Street Journal says, the automakers have big hopes for the electric vehicles, but right now the buyers are not cooperating. 855-616-1620. Let's start with Bob in New Berlin. Bob, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well, there's two reasons why I wouldn't buy an electric car right now. One, the infrastructure isn't set up.
Right.
Two, how long do the batteries last? And when they go, it's like buying a new car. And how can they recycle those batteries? Or are they going to put them in the ground someplace?
No, I think they go to a landfill. I think that's how it works. I don't think right now the technology is that you recycle the batteries. I don't think.
Right, and that's not good. So if I was going to buy an electric car, I would buy a hybrid that was both gas and electric. I'd use the electric for running around town, running errands. Yep. And then if I was going to take a road trip, I'd use gas.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that And yeah, I mean, thanks for calling. And that's seeing a lot of people though aren't in the financial position to do that. Like I said, I know I have a very, very dear friend of mine who lives in Naples, lives part-time in Naples, Florida, and they've got this electric vehicle in addition to in addition to a big old SUV and another car. And yes, it's, sometimes like during the day, hey, you're going out to dinner or you're going to like spin around and you're going to go to the golf course or back, they'll take the electric vehicle. But it's other than kind of like the fun thing, it's not what they end up using. And for a lot of people, they're just not in a financial position where you can own, multiple cars and just to say, okay, well, this is just going to be like the little fun car that I'm going to putz around in. 855-616-1620. I think, infrastructure is a huge factor for me. I want it to be, I want car ownership to be easy. I don't want to worry about, hey, if I decide I want to, drive to Omaha, I have to figure out, all right, how am I going to get the car charged? And, even if you say, oh, the capacity is X hundred miles, okay, well, what happens if it's snowing or it's raining and I've got to be running the defroster and I've got the windshield wipers going and I've got the heater blasting? I mean, I don't want to worry about those things. I don't want to worry about having to try to find a location where I can charge it. I don't want to have to worry about thinking, is this charger going to be open or not? Is it going to work or not? And what am I going to do for the 45 minutes while it's charging? If people are willing to do it, that's fine. Go with God. I don't want that hassle. I want to get in the car. I want to turn the key or push the button. I want it to start. And if I got to stop 400 miles down the way and put gas in it and go to the bathroom and get a cup of coffee before I get back in, that's what I want. 855-616-1620. Let's talk to Penny in Madison. Penny, you're on WTMJ.
Hi. Well, like I agree with that man. They have not thought about the waste from these vehicles. What are they going to do with it? Where are they going to put it? They haven't, just like the wind turbines. They don't know where they're going to put them. They're sitting there rusting. They don't know what to do with them. They haven't thought about where the lithium comes from and how they get it and how it ruins the planet. And I agree with you. I don't want to worry about it. I think they're too expensive. I don't care if they have a $7,500 tax credit or not.
Right.
I like my car.
Yeah, I guess I do too, and I'm trying not to be a dinosaur about it, but it would not even occur to me to look at an electric vehicle right now. 10 years from now, I don't know, maybe, but plus I don't want to worry about the hassle of, retrofitting my house and putting in the plug-in thing. I don't want to worry about it. I like the fact that, hey, I need gas. I pull into one of the many gas stations that are along the way. I fill it up and then I drive off, and I get decent gas mileage in my cars. I can live with it. Yeah. Okay. Now, thanks. I think this is going to be a tougher sell, and I think what happened is when they saw the early adopters, the people who want that's cool with me, who want the latest, and here, this is this great innovative thing, and they saw that rush of sales. Oh, great! But then they figured that was going to go all the way across the market. No, I think there's going to be a lot more resistance to this than people end up thinking. Bob in Oconomowoc. Bob, you're on WTMJ.
Hi.
Hi, Bob.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I have a Ford Maverick. It's a small pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
That's a four-door mini pickup truck.
Right.
And it's a hybrid.
Right.
It doesn't get plugged in. It does have a gasoline motor that will charge the battery if it has dynamic charging, so that when you're slowing down or putting on the brakes, it charges the battery.
Yeah, yeah. So how many miles a gallon would you say you get? So it runs primarily on the electric battery, but then it kicks in the gas motor. How many miles a gallon would you think you get?
I'm getting about 45 miles to the gallon since I bought it.
Mm-hmm. And do you like it?
Oh, I love it. It's a good alternative to if you're ecology minded. Just go down to the lakefront and see the coal cars coming in.
Yeah.
And the production of electricity is dirty in Wisconsin anyway at that plant with the coal burners.
Yeah.
I mean, they keep trying to clean up the air, but it's still
the electricity.
not 100%.
Yeah, thanks to the call, Bob. I mean, electricity has to come from somewhere, and that's the thing that people don't understand. I mean, I think a lot of people, I've said this before, they think that you push this button, you click this switch on the wall, and all of a sudden the electricity is there. It is interesting because a lot of, for example, California is the state. Is not into hybrid stuff at all. I mean, there are bans on the internal combustion engine. They will allow some plug-in hybrids moving forward, but not a lot. And why? Because they don't want gasoline powered anything. Because the plug-in hybrids, what it works, the way the plug-in hybrids work, and people, whenever I say this, I get engineers that correct me, but you plug it in, it runs on the battery first. Maybe you get 20, 25 miles, and then the gasoline-powered engine kicks in. But a lot of the environmentalists, they don't like it because the gasoline-powered engine kicks in. And a lot of people don't even think about charging it, so they run the gasoline-powered engine anyways. If you've got the hybrid like Bob was talking about, where it's a combination of those, people still don't like it because there's a portion of time where you're still going to be using gasoline, and there are folks out there that think fossil fuels are bad. So that's why the hybrid technology, which to me would be a much more common sense approach than the straight electric vehicles, but that's not being embraced by a lot of the environmental folks because you still use fossil fuels. Let's talk to Johnny in Milwaukee. Johnny, you're on WTMJ.
Hey, how you doing, Jeff?
I'm good. What do you think? Are you going to buy one of these?
Oh, no, I ain't buying one of those. Now, let me tell you the reasons why. First off, they're expensive. That battery only lasts so long, and then the car's junk. But now, see, I go down south to visit family, and when I go, I don't want to stop and wait an hour or whatever it takes to charge that thing up. And 4 minutes later, after I put that gasoline in, I'm gone.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks to that. I see. That's the other thing that, unless you are in a financial position where you can have like multiple cars, you unless you're really going to plan ahead. You can't go on the long road trips. You just flat out can't. Now, I mean, okay, so if you want to drive from Milwaukee to Florida, want to drive the car there, is it possible to, okay, here, I'm going to map out where these different charging stations are that I can stop at along the way, and yeah, maybe it'll work that way, and yes, maybe you'll get there and there'll be an open charger, and yeah, even then you got to kill an hour or whatever that is, best case scenario. Who wants to do that? I mean, I think most of us, all right, you're driving, okay, you just want to get there. You're going to get wherever you're going. You need gas, you pull over, you fill up the gas tank, you wait a couple minutes till the car, even if the gasoline station is full, you wait a couple minutes till the car in front of you pulls away, you pull up, you go in, you go to the bathroom, you get a cup of coffee, maybe you get a sandwich, you come back, 5 minutes later, you're on the road again. This is it. And I understand, because whenever I do these topics, I get all these people, oh, you're just this dinosaur. Don't you understand? This is great. It's wonderful. It's great for the planet, without addressing the question of where the electricity is going to come from or what's going to end up happening with all these batteries. But it's so funny to me that you have a lot of people beyond, again, the early adopters who are willing to put up with all this stuff because they want the latest and the coolest, or alternatively, they're in a financial position where you can have that fun car. Here, I've got the custom convertible Mustang from 1967, and it's garaged all the time, and I pull it out and I drive it on a couple nice summer days. I get that. I understand there's an appeal of that. But right now, I don't think you're close to having these electric vehicles be practical. And my best evidence of that is that most people, or at least many, many people, are starting to agree with me because the sales are dramatically flattening. At the same time, the government is pushing the car makers to spend billions of dollars trying to produce a technology that people don't want, or at least that many people don't want. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Hey, WTMJ's John Burke here. I'm looking for the creepiest tub or shower. My guys at Sidex want to replace your tub or shower. The winner gets a brand new complete tub or shower conversion installed at no cost by Sidex. Up to a $10,000 value. They're doing the conversion in my house. Go to WTMJ.com/contest. Everyone's eligible if you live within 50 miles of Milwaukee. Creepiest tub or shower. You get a brand new one. Send us a picture of your creepiest tub or shower. I'll announce the winner live on Wisconsin's Afternoon News on Halloween.
We asked people why they sold their homes to Grandview Homes instead of using a real estate agent.
We looked at a few businesses that purchase homes, and Grandview seemed to be the one that had it together. Not only did we receive a fair offer, but we were able to take as much time as we needed and could leave the house a mess.
Whether you have a hard-to-sell home, want a stress-free sale, or simply need to sell your home fast, Grandview Homes is the name you know and the name you can trust. Visit GrandviewHomes.com to discover the easiest and fastest way to sell a home.
It's spooky season, and we have monster deals at Heiser. Is your vehicle becoming a money-eating monster, causing your wallet to be as see-through as a ghost? Sleepless nights causing you to look like a zombie? Oh! Don't scream. Heiser will gladly take control of that scary monster. No tricks, just treats. Heiser will save you money and sleep on any of our new Chevrolets, Cadillacs, Toyotas, Fords, and Lincolns. And that includes our used vehicles, too. Because at Heiser, today's your day.
See dealer for complete details.
Home practice is about to begin. Your daughter's new tap shoes? Loud. Your son's new tuba? Louder. But you got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with $50 overdraft grace zone. So if you lose track of expenses buying some noise-canceling and sanity-saving headphones, we've got your back. You got this with $50 overdraft grace zone from Associated Bank. See AssociatedBank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
A couple of people are pointing out that you can recycle the electric vehicles' batteries, and what they apparently do is they strip them down and then take this out and they try. Okay, while EV batteries hold 20 to 100 times more energy than those used by hybrids, they're recycled pretty much the same way as the smaller ones. Packs are shipped to a facility specializing in battery disassembly and recycling their components. But of course, the operative thing in these batteries is lithium. And, well, here's one of the questions. How bad is lithium mining? Though emissions deriving from mining this element is lower than fossil fuels, the extraction methods for lithium and cobalt can be very energy intensive, leading to air and water pollution, land degradation, and potential for groundwater contamination. So you sort of pick your poison when it comes to this. So there's how that's how it goes. Jeff, this is why United Auto Workers are on strike, because companies are retrofitting all their plants to build these electric cars so they can't pay the employees. It's just a cluster. Well, part of the other thing is the electric vehicles have fewer parts than the traditional internal combustion engine cars, so you need fewer workers to make them, which is always an issue. Jeff, are the president's vehicles electric? No, and if you saw was the Secretary of Energy, whoever, who was like trying to take one of these trips in the electric vehicle, and it was kind of comical because they couldn't arrange for the compromise. They couldn't arrange they had to park. They had to park a regular SUV blocking one of the charging stations because they wanted to make sure that when the Commerce Secretary or whoever, the government official, showed up, that they were able to get at the charger, whereas if some family was there, it would have delayed the whole process for 45 minutes or an hour. Jeff, your EV discussion is related to your conversation about compromise. To me, the hybrid is a great transition option until the electric grid is expanded and the charging stations are built out. Yeah, but again, a lot of the environmentalists, they don't like the hybrids because the hybrids still have those internal combustion engines that are in it. And again, it depends on how you operate. But the plug-in hybrids, you get 25 miles or 30 miles or whatever on the charge, and then the gas engine kicks in, which means that other than that first 20 or 25 miles of driving, you're still going to be driving on on that evil gasoline-powered engine. Jeff, I haul gas for a living. This don't put me out of business. That's the reality that's out there. And by the way, I understand that people are passionate about this. Jeff, who pays for the retrofitting of your house so that you can charge it? What if you don't have a garage? Then what? What if you have to park on the street every night? Well, I think in that particular case, you've got to figure out what your plan B is. Bottom line, if you want to do this, go with God. I think that's great. And like I say, I know people who have them, and by and large, because their uses are mostly as, again, a second or a third car, they're fine. But even my most diehard friends who have these electric vehicles, if you said, what if you had to use this as a daily driver? They say, well, it's not practical as the daily driver. It's a fun little car, and it rides really well, and we like the way that this handles, and we like all these things about it, but it's not practical for any sort of lengthy kind of trips at all. But, if you only need a car to spin around your neighborhood for, no more than 20 miles, and you've got a garage and you can pull it in and you can hook up the charger, and you don't live in a climate where it's going to be like really extreme weather, like you might have to drive it for long distances in really cold weather or things like that. So if you live in Naples, Florida, it might be absolutely perfect if you just use it to stay within the boundaries of the city. More than that, I think it's still got a ways to go. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Hi, folks. This is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. As the largest lighting supplier to new home builders and decorators in Wisconsin, our huge showroom displays all the finest brands of lighting and ceiling fans, including such top brands as Visual Comfort, Tech, and many more. And our expert staff will assist you in making the right selections. Our prices are always the lowest. I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids and our famous free popcorn. BBC is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and on Saturday from 10 to 4. We're located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's and Bachman Furniture, all near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Hey, the future of joint pain relief is right here in Milwaukee. It's QC Kinetics, Advanced Regenerative Medicine, and it's amazing. Hey, it's Greg Matzik. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your own body's healing agents to attack that joint pain. I'm talking lasting relief. QC Kinetics doesn't mask the pain. These treatments go to the very root of the problem, using concentrated healing properties placed directly in your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulder, or your back, with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Hey, life is all about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Call the local medical professionals and get a free consultation today. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Call 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. Again, 414-285-3474.
At Semper Fi, we work hard not to tarnish our reputation. And that's what will make your decision to work with us one you won't regret. You can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
Keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
A decision we made that nobody believed in, that we felt strongly about, was the name change from PM Bedroom Gallery to Penny Mustard.
Ben and Arvid Huth, brothers and owners of Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Well, we knew the name fit right away. Yeah. And I mean, when we saw the name, I'm like, yep, that's it. And you saw the name and you were like, that's it.
Yep.
And we had a key employee that said, I won't even work for a company that has that name. I couldn't even wear a shirt that has that name on it.
But I remember after we announced that, the Journal Sentinel in Milwaukee had ran an article, and then there was a bunch of comments online afterwards. And I remember counting, there was 145 comments. 143 were negative and some extremely negative.
Yes.
Brutal.
Hate mail.
It was bad.
It was bad. People hated it.
And the other two that weren't negative were like, oh, this is genius. It's got all you guys talking about it.
The other one might have been our mom.
See more at pennymustard.com.
So I guess the moral of the story is, if you know something's right and everybody else says it's not the thing to do,
go with your gut.
Go with your gut. Yep.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Well, the Taylor Swift era rolls on. Look, it's no secret that movies have been struggling, And now it's going to get even worse because, first of all, you had the writer's strike, and now you've got the ongoing actor's strike, which has delayed production in movies and things like that. Now, I've made the argument before that for me, I don't go to that many actual movies anymore, and the truth is you could not produce any new dramatic content, and for the next couple of years, and I'd be satisfied because there's so much stuff that's out there on all the streaming services that I can't watch it. I don't have enough time to watch all the different stuff that I want to watch as it is. So I could take 3 years and just catch up, which isn't necessarily certainly not good for the movie industry and things like that. But over the weekend, Taylor Swift, the movie came out, the Eras Tour. And what this is, it's a movie in August. This shows you the kind of turnaround. In August, she did like a half dozen concerts at SoFi Stadium in Southern California. And it's the big stadium outside of L.A. And what they did is they recorded that and they turned those concerts into this movie. And so the movie, it debuted starting Thursday, and the numbers are in. They estimate 3-day gross of North American theaters somewhere in the range of $95 to $97 million. The Taylor Swift film cost around $15 million to make. So that's now, of course, you got to plug it. You got to do the promotions, but still, that's a pretty darn good. That's a pretty darn good profit margin. The film earned an estimated $31 to $33 million across 94 international territories as well. Global receipts, somewhere they estimate around $130 million. As part of the deal, you wonder why Travis Kelce, I'm sure there's many reasons why he would date Taylor Swift, but here's it. As part of the deal, Ms. Swift earns 50% of ticket revenue, meaning she walked away from the weekend with around $55 million just for one weekend, not including her cut from international sales. With tickets cost $19.89 for grown-ups. Samantha, do you know why it costs $19.89? You do, because it's her birth year. See, look at the big brain on my producer, Samantha. Yeah, tickets are $19.89 because that's an homage to her birth year. For children ages 2 to 12 or people 60 or older, the ticket costs are $13.13. Samantha, do you know why it's $13.13? You do. Yeah, it's her favorite number. So for people under the age of 12 or people over the age of 60, $13.13. But this is just an absolute boon for theaters because this is getting people back in to go watch the concert experience. It's easily the biggest concert film opening ever. The previous record holder was 2011 Justin Bieber's Never Say Never, which made $41 million over its first 3 days in North American theaters. But this is 90-some million, almost $100 million, and it will continue to climb. So just when these movie theaters were saying, what are we going to do, along comes Taylor Swift. Now, this is kind of interesting because, for example, Madonna, yeah, she's still around. She's just launched her new tour in London. So she's in London and stuff. So you've got some of these performers that are now like back out on tours and all. Taylor Swift. Do I know a lot of Taylor Swift stuff? No. But candidly, I know people love her, just absolutely love her. And you wonder, what is the longevity going to be? 10 years from now, are Swifties still going to be, piling into stadiums to watch her? Don't know. That's one of the interesting things. Or will she, flame out like so many of the hot, performers do? Don't know. But for the moment, I don't know. It's good to be Taylor Swift. When we come back, all right, will this bring back cash? And, okay, he doesn't vote. So what? Stick around.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Get inside the mind of Mark Tauscher.
I feel like I'm a smart person most of the time.
See the world from his perspective.
Sometimes ignorance is bliss. And in this case, I don't know if I'd say it was bliss, but I was definitely ignorant.
On Wisconsin's Morning News, every day at 7:50.
I kind of went with the attitude of don't even have your phone with you. They can't call you, and they can't cut you.
Mark Tauscher on Wisconsin's Morning News. Presented by your Wisconsin Chevy dealers. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and Kohler Services.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Annex Wealth Management. Investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning from a fee-only fiduciary. Forget commission sales pitches and financial products you don't need. Know the difference. Annex provides elite, comprehensive financial planning customized to who you are and what you need. AnnexWealth.com.
Here at Richlands, we offer both comfort service and expert service.
Our comfort service comes with movie theater popcorn, hot gourmet coffee, upfront pricing, on-time scheduling, plus anything else we can do to keep you comfortable.
Put that on top of honest service from the most friendliest, hard-working people you'll ever meet inside a tire and service center, and well, we'd like to believe we're on the right track to meeting your expectations.
But when your check engine light, tire light, or any other light screams, "Service me," well, that means you're due for our other type of service.
Our expert service. Tires, brakes, belts, mufflers, transmissions, and even engine repair.
Come on into Richlands and put our expert service to the test.
And while you're relaxing, enjoy our comfort services too. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands, your
due for service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
Hi, this is Wayne Larrabee, the voice of Green Bay football. You know, fans count on me to make the right call every time, and I can continue to do that thanks to Summit Eye Care of Wisconsin. When my vision began to drift, my eye doctor said Summit Eye Care was the best place to go. Using the latest adjustable implants, the doctors at Summit were able to fine-tune my vision. In fact, my vision is now the best it's ever been. Summit Eye Care was the right call to help me see all the action on game days.
To schedule an appointment at one of their locations, visit summitiwi.com.
Disability Rights Wisconsin's Medicare Part D helpline is here to help disabled or elderly Medicare beneficiaries with questions about their Part D prescription benefit. The Part D helpline may be able to help you save money on your Part D premium, deductible, and copays. Medicare annual open enrollment period runs October 15th through December 7th. For free, unbiased assistance, please call the Disability Rights Wisconsin Medicare Part D helpline any time of the year at 1-800-926-4862, 1-800-926-4862.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Your locally owned hometown station gives you the news and what it means to you. Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Good afternoon, 2 o'clock. We have cloudy skies, 55 degrees, partly cloudy tonight with lows 45 to 40 from the WTMJ Breaking News Center. I'm Connie Weber. A youth advisor employed at Milwaukee's Bayview High School sentenced to 2.5 years in prison after admitting in open court he had sex with a 16-year-old student.
24-year-old Daniel Ellis Jr. pleaded guilty in Milwaukee County Circuit Court to the charge of sexual assault of a student by school staff. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reports Ellis Jr. had been employed by the Milwaukee Christian Center to work in the violence-free zone program at Bayview High School. Ellis Jr. allegedly told the student he wanted to leave his wife and be with them, with prosecutors alleging multiple non-consensual encounters occurred between February and April. Ellis Jr. must also serve 3 years of extended supervision when he's released. Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Oak Creek High School was evacuated this morning. Police confirmed the building was evacuated due to a threat, but would not go into any further detail. Officers worked to clear the building and make sure it's safe before students and staff were allowed back inside. Milwaukee police charged a man in connection to the death of a 12-year-old boy whose body was found malnourished and decomposing.
Roman Moy is so far facing 3 counts of chronic neglect of a child and failure to report the death of a child. Moy is the father of Ja'Carri Robinson, who was found dead by his older brother in the home near Elmhurst and 39th Street, where he was living with his father. According to the criminal complaint, Robinson's body was found wrapped in a blanket in front of the couch. Investigators noting an overwhelming smell of mold, feces, and decay inside the house, with family members telling police that Robinson was being punished by Moy for stealing food before his death. Moy has not been arrested and remains on the run. Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, WTMJ News.
A Mass and Holy Hour for Peace held this evening in downtown Milwaukee. The Cathedral of St. John the Evangelist welcomes all to attend a time to pray for peace in our world, our country, and our community. Mass will begin at 5:15 this evening. Last week, a community solidarity gathering in Fox Point at Congregation Shalom drew over 1,000 attendees. The UN reports nearly half of Gaza's population has been displaced, as Israeli forces say they're preparing for a ground assault. ABC's Martha Raddatz describes her experience in Tel Aviv.
You cannot, no matter how many conflicts you've covered, imagine people doing that to other people. Imagine looking them in the eye, looking a child in the eye, looking an elderly person in the eye, and then shooting them, or knifing them, or mowing them down with assault rifles, whatever they can do, grabbing them out of their cars. It is really a devastating experience, but the Israelis want the world to see, want the world to hear about this, and we are bearing witness as well.
On Capitol Hill, Republicans expected to vote for a new Speaker of the House tomorrow. Congressman Jim Jordan is the current frontrunner, but Wisconsin Congressman Glenn Grothman tells WTMJ Now Jordan may not have the votes.
The majority of regular old Republicans are mad because the people who took out McCarthy and wouldn't vote for Scalise and broke the rules all want Jim Jordan. So there are a lot of people out there who say, hey, wait a minute, they're breaking the rules. I'm not going to give them what they wanted.
He says there's still the possibility the House will consider giving the interim Speaker, Patrick McHenry, more power in order to pass a resolution on Israel. The D.C.-based federal judge overseeing the election interference case against former President Trump has imposed a gag order.
The 2-hour hearing featured fierce arguments from Trump lawyer John Lauro, who said a gag order would prove impossible to enforce in the heat of the campaign. But Judge Tanya Chutkin said even as a political candidate, as a criminal defendant, Trump doesn't have carte blanche to implicitly encourage violence. Chutkin made a point of noting the former president has called her a fraud and a hack, and the special prosecutor a thug. Her order prohibits Trump from making statements that target Jack Smith, his staff, or Judge Chutkin's staff. He'll also be restrained from speaking about potential witnesses in the case or their expected testimony here. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News at U.S. District Court in Washington.
Time for news about your money. The WTMJ NX Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 326 points. The S&P 500 up 47. The Nasdaq is up 166. NX Ignite, NX Comprehensive Wealth, NX Private Client. They'll meet you where you're at. Details at nxwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:05.
Poor Jack Skellington. It can get terribly boring being the Pumpkin King. But what if he could take over Christmas? Now that would be something spooktacular. Come and experience all of the mad merry mayhem that ensues when the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra performs The Nightmare Before Christmas live to film October 28th and 29th at the Bradley Symphony Center. Conductor Nicholas Buck will lead the MSO in Danny Elfman's macabre masterpiece of a score as Tim Burton's beloved stop-motion musical plays on the big screen. Are Christmas and Santa Claus doomed? Find out when you come to The Nightmare Before Christmas live to film with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. Tickets are selling fast, so call now for yours. 414-291-7605 or online at mso.org.
Greg Matzik here for Holiday Mazda in Fond du Lac, where the SUV season sales event is on. Great timing to experience for yourself the advanced driving technology and standard iActive all-wheel drive that's built into every new Mazda car and crossover. Holiday is the destination to navigate today's car market with confidence. Get more Mazda for your money and more for your trade. Say yes to enticing offers like finance rates as low as 2.9% APR on many Mazda favorites, while you enjoy Team Holiday's transparent, simplified buying approach and genuine award-winning guest care. That's the stuff that delights and makes fans of drivers from all over, and I'm one of them. It's passionate fans who have helped Holiday earn top honors as the Badger State's only recipient of the prestigious Mazda President's Club Award, Wisconsin's #1 Mazda dealer, and top-selling Mazda certified pre-owned dealer. Find yours and discover the difference during the SUV season sales event on now at Holiday Mazda in Fond du Lac and at holidaymazda.com. Holiday Mazda, it's worth the trip.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
Break time for the Milwaukee Bucks. Debuted last night under the bright lights of Los Angeles. Damian Lillard and Giannis making their preseason debuts for the Bucks, and it did not take long for Dame Time to clock in on this one.
Damian Lillard's got it on the left wing. Lillard gonna fire away. Three-pointer, yeah, baby.
Dave Kane on the call there as Lillard added 3 of his 14 total points, and Giannis would add 16 as the Bucks go on for the 108-97 preseason win over the Lakers. The Texas Rangers take a 1-0 series lead in the ALCS with the 2-0 win over the Houston Astros on Sunday night. And Week 6 of the NFL season rolled on Sunday afternoon. No Packers game, but around the NFC North, the Minnesota Vikings defeated the Chicago Bears by a final of 19-13, and the Lions winners once again beating Tampa Bay by a final of 20-6. Week 6 will conclude with a Monday night matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Chargers tonight. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads now with your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. No major delays to report right now. There is some slowing I-94 eastbound from the Zoo interchange into downtown. Normally about a 6-minute drive. That's going to take you a couple of extra minutes this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by Weisgerber's Golden Mast Inn, your place on the lake. Visit goldenmastin.com.
Make plans this Sunday to visit the Golden Mast for their all-you-can-eat champagne brunch. Enjoy fine dining from 10:30 until 2 at the Golden Mast. Call the Golden Mast and make reservations now.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast, partly cloudy tonight with lows 45 lakeside, 40 inland. Sunny tomorrow and 61. Partly cloudy Wednesday. A chance of rain in the evening. High Wednesday 65. Mostly cloudy. Showers on Thursday, a high of 58. And Friday, cloudy skies with a high again of 58 degrees. Madison 46, Green Bay 53, Milwaukee 53. I'm Connie Weber. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 2:09.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. One final thought on the Taylor Swift situation. One of our texters, Jeff, it's a big win for me, the Taylor Swift movie. My kid wanted to go to her concert, $400 to $500 a pop. Tickets to the movie, well, we got in plus snacks for $50. Seeing my kid sing and happy to see her perform was priceless. That's the way to do this. All right, it seems like every time you turn on the television or turn on the radio or go on the internet, you see another celebrity. Well, sometimes it's a musician. I still can't get over Jimmy Buffett's passing. But over the weekend, Suzanne Summers. Now, Samantha, do you know who Suzanne Summers was? Okay. This is, again, it's one of these age things. She kind of moves her hand back and forth. Well, sort of. Well, okay, let me review the bidding for, I don't know, people who weren't watching TV in like 1981 and things like that. One of the really, really hot shows back from, well, the mid-1970s. It debuted in 1977, and she was on the show till 1981. It was a show called Three's Company. And it was Suzanne Summers, and it was the late Jack Ritter, and it was John Ritter and Joyce DeWitt. And the show, this was the premise. And if you've never seen it, I admit it sounds dumb, and it sounds very, very dated. But the idea was the John Ritter character, Jack Tripper, couldn't afford to live in an apartment by himself. So he moved in with these two young women, Joyce DeWitt and Suzanne Summers, and the landlord would not. This is it's a very dated sort of concept. This shows one way or the other how far this country has come over the last 40 years. But the premise was Jack Ritter had to pretend to be gay because the landlord wouldn't allow a heterosexual man to live in the same apartment. You couldn't have two female roommates who were also heterosexual. So that was the whole premise of the show. But it was dominant in the movies. And Suzanne Summers played the quote-unquote dumb blonde, Chrissy. Suzanne Summers, for those of you who are familiar with the movie American Graffiti, George Lucas's first movie before he went on to do Star Wars and stuff like that, her first credited role, she was the blonde in the Thunderbird, had no speaking parts, but she was one that the Richard Dreyfuss had this huge infatuation with, because she'd drive around town and she'd be this hot blonde in this big car and stuff like that. But anyway, she played Chrissy Summers in this show, and it was just I understand the premise sounds dumb and it sounds very, very dated, and that might all be true. But this was like the number one show, just was dominant in the ratings. But what happened was, and this is an interesting time as well. So it's a dominant show. Again, John Ritter, who was the star, and he passed away a number of years ago, but he was the male lead. He was making $150,000 a week doing the show. Suzanne Summers, who was a big breakout star too, she was making $30,000 an episode. And so she said, so after the first, the show was this huge hit, it had gone on for 4 years, and she went very, very public, and she said, look, I'm as big a part of the show as John Ritter, and I don't begrudge John Ritter getting his money, but it's ridiculous that me and Joyce DeWitt, the other two stars of this, it was ridiculous that we're making $30,000 a show and he's making $150,000 a show. And so huge contract dispute, and ultimately they ended up writing her off. And I remember at the time, they ended up writing her off the show. At the time, the big issue in the way she was portrayed in the media as, being that word that, rhymes with witch but isn't witch, because, how dare she suggest that a woman should be paid as much as a man, and she should be thankful that she's making $30,000, an episode, translate that. She's making $600,000 a year. How ungrateful could she be? But in many respects, she was way, way, way ahead of her time when it comes to all that. So anyhow, they wrote her off Three's Company. The show limped on for another year or two, but it wasn't the same, after she ended up leaving. And then she went on to do a couple things on TV and stuff. But then she had her own little marketing company. She was the farthest thing from this dumb blonde that you could imagine. That was the character she played, on Three's Company. She had this small marketing company, and she came across, they came across like the Thigh Master, if you remember that. And she said, hey, there's this huge market that's out there for this. And so she started doing all these, infomercials and things like that, showing how you could take this Thigh Master and you could, do these exercises and you can get really great looking legs like she had. And the thing made millions and millions and millions of dollars. So, and that was her business acumen, realizing that there was a demand for this. And like I say, she was the farthest thing from this dumb blonde character that she played as you could possibly imagine. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2001 and battled it off and on over the course of the last 20 years, and ultimately I think she announced in the summer that the breast cancer had made a recurrence, and she ended up passing away over the weekend. But Suzanne Summers, dead at the age of 76, and for people who only knew her through this Chrissy Snow character, much more complicated woman, much more successful woman, and somebody who was completely unlike that particular character, and really was great in business as well as the world of entertainment. And I think very, very underappreciated. And I think way before her time, I think that would be a fair thing. So if you can't tell, I was a big fan, not necessarily a fan of the show, and I understand if you've never seen Three's Company or aren't familiar with this, and you sit there and hear me describe this. Well, wait a minute. The guy had to pretend that he was gay so he could live with these two women. It was a different time. It was just flat out a different time. But Suzanne Summers made that show go, and she's passed away at the age of 76. And one more, like I say, it seems like every time I turn on the radio or go on the internet or turn on the television and they're talking about a celebrity passing, it's whether it's an author or a musician or a TV star or a movie star, all these people I grew up with, they're dying. It's getting to be that point. Suzanne Summers, dead at the age of 76. Sail on. Back with more in just a minute.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
So I'm going to bring over to you a pimento cheese sandwich.
If you missed Wisconsin's afternoon news, you missed this.
It's rewarding and they like it, but they miss being in the classroom. They miss being on the front line and miss being with the kids.
One of the things that my kids really loved about the Market Hall was this selfie museum that the students at Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design helped create.
Rhonda McDaniel, she is the chair of the RNC.
Wisconsin's afternoon news, the podcast, presented by Geist Garage Doors.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Chris and Tim closed their first loan with Accunet $116,000 ago in terms of the median sales price in southeastern Wisconsin. We helped their daughter buy a home earlier this year, and now we're helping them buy their retirement condo. We're told there were 3 offers, 2 cash offers, and Chris and Tim's offer backed up by an Accunet rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. All 3 offers were probably over the asking price, but we're surmising Chris and Tim's offer was the highest because when the sellers asked the listing broker if they could count on the offer with the pre-approval letter, the answer was simply, Accunet really does their homework. It's not easy to beat a cash offer over the asking price, but that's exactly what Tim and Chris did with some help from their trusted family mortgage lender. If you don't think the lender's name on your pre-approval letter matters, think again. It's still a seller's market in the Badger State, so click on the blue button at Accunet.com today to get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
Hi, John McGivern here. Did you know Network Health has Medicare Advantage plans that give you $25 a month back towards your Medicare Part B premium? That's $300 a year back in your pocket. Isn't that great? Call 833-7-NETWORK to learn more today. Network Health Medicare Advantage plans include PPO plans with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Network Health Medicare Advantage plans depends on contract renewal. Certain restrictions apply to the Part B giveback. Visit networkhealth.com/Medicare/extra benefits for details.
All right, Team Pella, listen up.
Thanks, John Kuhn. Customers love our products with limited lifetime warranties. Check out these big plays. Incredible innovations like blinds and shades between the glass.
No interference on that play, Coach.
And stylish windows with hidden screens that make game days a breeze.
Can it get any better?
It can. With monthly payments as low as $19 per window, $75 per patio door, and a free quote at PellaWI.com.
Let's go.
6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See show for details. Offers on 10/31/2023.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Come and knock on our door.
Come and knock on our door.
We've been waiting for you.
We've been waiting for you.
Where the kisses are hers and his, Three's Company too.
Yep. Charlie, are you familiar with that show? Did you see that?
I am not, but I'm very familiar with the theme.
All right, that's it. Yeah, that's it. It is impossible to describe how big that show was. And then, actually, Don Knotts, who portrayed, was famous for Barney Fife on the Andy Griffith Show. What happened is, I would have done much better in the world if I've got this. My mind is a trap for useless but important information. So the characters, the landlord, was the character. It was Norman Fell, and the characters were known as the Ropers. And what happened is that the Three's Company was so popular that they did a spin-off taking the landlord and his wife, and they gave them their own show. So that means they had to bring in a new landlord character, and they brought in Don Knotts. I mean, so Don Knotts, before he passed away, he came back, and he was the landlord in the second part of the second part of the run of Three's Company and stuff. But it was one of those things where once Suzanne Summers left, it just the show just wasn't the same. I think they tried to replace her. As I recall, they tried to replace her with characters that were kind of lookalikes, like her cousin or something like that. But it never. It was never actually the same. So it's kind of tough. But again, the interesting story, again, the real takeaway that I keep coming back to is back when she walked off the set and demanded like close to equal pay, the reaction, and the reaction was, how dare she ask for the same amount of money her co-star is getting? She should be thrilled that, she's getting $30,000 an episode, which is more than most people in this country make, which really, it wasn't the point. The point was, hey, I'm just as important to this show as John Ritter is, and I'm not saying he should make less, but I should make as much. So it was very, very interesting thing. Okay, let me completely switch gears. I am one of a disappearing breed of people who still carries cash. Now, we've talked about this before, and some of my younger teammates, my colleagues, I'll say, you carry cash, and they all look at me like I'm crazy. Why would I carry cash? I've got my debit card. I've got my credit card. Why would I use cash? Okay, I'll give you an example. My wife, who is becoming more and more like that because she is very young at heart. She, as I was saying, she's up in Minneapolis right now. She's coming back tomorrow, but she's visiting, our granddaughter, who's a sophomore at University of Minnesota. So as she was getting ready, her and her friend were driving up. I said, "Do you have any cash?" And she said, "Well, no, I don't need cash. I got a credit card." I said, "No, honey, I want you to have some cash." So I, gave her. She said, "Well, I gave her $200 is what I did." She said, well, what am I going to do with that? I said, "Well, I want you to have that in case you need it. And if you don't need it, you can give it back to me when you get home." Now, even though she says I don't need it, my chances of getting that back are probably slim to none at some point. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. I didn't want her driving to Minneapolis and back without having any sort of cash, even though she's got a credit card that's perfectly good and things like that. But, my wife, just like my producer Samantha, will almost never pay for things with cash. My wife will go over to the grocery store and it'll be $6 and she'll pay with a credit card. That's just what she will do. And I understand that there's complete generations of people out there. You go over to Starbucks and hey, it's $5 or it's $6 here. I'm not pulling out $5 here's the credit card and using that. And I understand that is the way of the future. All right. Wall Street Journal, story over the weekend. Want a discount? Pay in cash. Is a 3% cash discount enough to make people ditch credit cards and payment apps? I will give you an example of where I saw this. So I take the car in to get the oil changed, etc. And there's a big sign that says, if you use a credit card, not a debit card, if you use a credit card, it's 3% more than if you use cash or a debit card. So that's the choice. If you want to put it on your credit card, you are going to pay 3% more. Well, I'm not paying 3% more. So, I'm just, and again, it's however much an oil change is. So, I'm paying with cash to do that because, yes, in that particular case, getting that 3% savings is worth it. Here's the way the Wall Street Journal says. Shoppers once had to fish in their wallets for a coupon to save a few bucks at checkout. These days, a $20 bill often does the trick. Discounts for paying cash are now on the menu at coffee shops, restaurants, and other stores as businesses search for ways to skirt rising credit card transaction fees. The share of cash purchases that come with discounts climbed 66% between 2015 and 2022. So, what they're saying is for vendors, for sellers, they pay a fee every time somebody uses the credit card. So they have to pay whatever that percent is. So in order to discourage people from using the credit cards, what they'll say is if you do a cash transaction, we'll give you a 3% discount. Or alternatively, using the credit card is going to cost 3% more. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Now, I understand for, big ticket purchases. I don't know if you're buying how much does a dishwasher cost? If you're buying a dishwasher for $1,200, I don't know that somebody's going to necessarily come in and pay $1,200 in cash to get that. But as far as, let's say you go to a grocery store, for example, and you can get a 3% discount by just reaching in your wallet and pulling out a $20 bill as opposed to charging it. Would you be inclined to do that? Or is the convenience, etc., just Does it outweigh it? 855-616-1620. Is it possible cash might make a comeback if more and more people give discounts for using it? This is happening at a lot of gas stations as well, where the idea is if you pay with cash or you use a debit card, pay with cash, something where there's not a transaction fee that's charged, you will get, again, depending on how you look at it, a discount, or alternatively, you either get a discount or the credit card, there's a surcharge. 855-616-1620. Is this enough to inspire you to perhaps consider using cash for, again, some of these smaller purchases? 855-616-1620. We discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Be our eyes on the road. See something out there that I should know about?
Hi, there is an accident on I-43 northbound.
Call me, Debbie Lazaga, at the hallmazda.com traffic tip line at 414-238-9329.
Hi, Debbie. It's Michael. Just drove through the area of 894 West. There's debris in the roadway.
The drive affects you. Why not be part of it?
I'm sitting here at I-43 north of Silver Spring. It's a parking lot.
Give me a call, 414-238-9329.
If you can't get a good night's sleep, let me ask you, are you breathing well? Because if you're snoring or waking up each night with a stuffed up nose, or frustrated with your CPAP mask, the root of your sleep problem lies in your breathing triangle. And if any one of those passages isn't working, you won't sleep well. And there's no mattress, pill, or other gimmick that can fix that. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. A recipe for a good night's sleep starts with an open airway. Now, there are devices that can help solve snoring or sleep apnea problems. If you walk into a sleep center, know you'll walk out with a CPAP. And you might find other options elsewhere, but the simple truth is, if your nose doesn't work properly, no device will help. Only at Advent will you find every effective snoring and sleep apnea solution, along with a world-class team that can get your nose working properly again.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
What's the way to build your wealth?
While going over a new client's statements from one of the big financial firms, I was floored when I read that firm does not offer tax or estate planning advice, because we know that saving money for our clients on their taxes, legally and well within the law, can make a huge difference in their financial plan. If you want to wisely build your wealth, it is my firm opinion that without a comprehensive approach, you're going to be at a big disadvantage. At Financial Strategies, Inc., we're taking a deep dive and creating comprehensive strategies that develop your retirement, investment, and your tax and estate planning, and all under a fee-only structure that means the success we care about most is yours. I'm Jim Cantrell, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to FinancialStrategiesInc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Real interesting story in the Wall Street Journal about how more and more retailers are trying, particularly small retailers like mom and pop shops, are trying to encourage people to use cash as opposed to credit. Why? Because they have to pay a fee per transaction. So you go in and you charge, I don't know, you $3. You buy something for $3, you put it on the credit card, they've got to pay a fee. So what they're doing is they are encouraging people, hey, come in, pay with cash, we'll give you a 3% discount up front. And the question becomes, is that going to be enough to get people, like my producer Samantha, who doesn't carry cash, is it going to be enough to maybe inspire her to say, okay, for those type of purchases, I'll keep a $20 bill in my pocket so I can do that. 855-616-1620. Andrea in Burlington. Andrea, you're on WTMJ.
Hey, Jeff. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Tell me what you think about this.
Great. Well, I'm one of those small mom and pop shops. I'm the operations director for a real estate agency, but I also have a bespoke knit and crochet business on the side, and I often do artisan fairs and Etsy and all that good stuff. And it definitely kicks rocks having to say to people, hey, if you pay with a credit card, yeah, I accept it, but you're going to pay 2%, 1.5% more than your counterpart who's paying cash. And that really stinks for me because already with my craft, people look at it and go, oh, I can get that hat or that sweater or
Right.
whatever cheaper at Walmart or Target. And I don't like doing it, but I have to. And conversely, I'm also like your producer. I don't often carry cash. I don't need to carry cash. I'm 41. I don't even have a checkbook because I can send a check through my bank.
Right, sure.
I don't use Venmo. Our bank does not play nice with that. But even my kids, like their school tuition, their lunch accounts, everything is funded directly from our checking account. But I have started doing that whole cash stuffing savings system where you have a little book and you have a monthly budget, and it definitely helps me control my spending, but also save for the future. And I think we're going to be seeing it more and more. I do like to have my tap on my phone, but at the same end, I do keep a 20. I've always kept a 20 in my car just in case I need gas and they don't accept a credit card.
Thanks for calling. No, I know. And again, look, I understand that. Like my wife will always say, I don't need cash. I don't use this. But it's like, honey, I don't want you out on the roads. I don't know. So here, take the money. Jeff, I can save about $200 on my property taxes with cash or check. Yeah, I think I'm trying to. That's probably how it works for me too. I mean, I always routinely I pay with check or I pay with a direct withdrawal from the bank account. But you can put it on your credit card. I just choose not to do that. Okay, let's talk to Jackie in Sheboygan. Jackie, you're in WTMJ. Hello.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Jackie.
So about 2.5 months ago, my husband and I got married. And
oh, congratulations.
We decided to, thank you. And our reception venue was a local, a Green Bay restaurant. We got married in Green Bay. And they had a discount if you paid in cash. Otherwise, if you used a card, there was a 3.5% charge for that.
Sure.
So the day before the wedding, my then fiance, now husband, went in and paid the $3,000 in cash.
Yep.
He was like, I'm not losing 3.5%.
Well, no.
on 3,000.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So I totally get it.
Yeah, and do you think it's all right? I mean, do you fault the places for? And I guess again, you can look at it one of two ways. You can either look at it as a discount for using cash, or I guess a penalty for charging it. But were you hacked off at the venue that that's the way they handled it?
Not really. I mean, we did have to insist that they gave us a receipt.
Right. Sure.
For that payment, because it was. I mean, you're literally just handing over a bank envelope in cash. I mean, it was.
Right.
It's not something that we were used to, but I understand why they were doing it, and we were spending so much money.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a little, inconvenient for us the day before we got married to have to go and do that, but he wasn't going to carry around that much cash on our wedding day.
Right, and you wanted the savings. 3% of $3,000 is real money.
It's real money. Yeah, that's definitely a few rounds of what his buddies bought him at the bar.
That's great. Jackie, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. And again, I committed, Emily Post would be mad at me. I committed a faux pas. When people get married, you say to the groom, you say congratulations, and to the bride, you say best wishes. So best wishes, Jackie. I glitched on that, but I remember my Emily Post, 855-616-1620. Jeff, I love this. I'm a cash kind of guy for smaller purchases. I enjoy people calling me a dinosaur for using cash, but they're the ones that are missing out on the discounts that do add up. And again, to me, as long as it's disclosed, like I say, the car dealer I go to take care of routine service on at least one of our vehicles. They're very upfront. I mean, but when you drop your car off, there's a big sign that says, all right, and in their case, you can pay, it's one fee if you use cash, check, or a debit card, and it's another fee if you use a credit card. So, I mean, and they make it very, very clear. It's not like it's a surprise. So, I mean, you have a couple choices. You can, if you really don't like that policy, I guess you can go somewhere else. But alternatively, you know that, okay, this is what the policy is, so I can figure out how I'm going to pay for it. And if it's I don't know if it's $30. Does 3% make enough difference to go through the inconvenience? But if it's $300, well, or $3,000, like she was talking about, maybe it does make a difference. Jill in Helensville. Jill, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
I am well, thank you. My note says you are not a cash gal.
No, I never have been. And one time I kept cash in my car like one of your prior callers just in case, and it was stolen. So, a couple of years ago when we had COVID, they didn't want us using cash.
Right.
So everywhere you went, they said, no cash, no cash. Now I'm going to restaurants out in Helensville, and they will charge us 3% if you use a credit card. They don't have time machines there, or they may not be.
Yep. I'm sorry. You still there, Jill? Okay, got it. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jill. Your phone was dropping off there. She says she doesn't carry cash. And again, it's a matter of individual preference. For me, I don't know. It's just I always walk around with a little bit of cash, not as much cash maybe as I used to, but I always have a little bit of cash. But again, and I also appreciate now that credit card transactions are so much faster and so much easier. You just tap the thing, you've got the chip cards, and if I'm buying gasoline, just to pay at the pump is a very, very good feature, and so you don't have to go in and stand in line and things like that. But at the same time, if I'm going to go get a bagel or something, or just a cup of coffee, I guess I don't like clutter. For some, and maybe it's just a silly reaction, but I don't like cluttering up my bills and stuff with like this $3 purchase or that $3 purchase. And I'm not against using credit cards. Believe me, we use credit cards a lot. I'm one of these people that Clark Howard always used to describe as a freeloader, the people that pay the credit card bills off at the end of the month. I mean, it has probably been 40 years since I paid a credit card interest charge and things like that. And so, I mean, yes, I get the sentiment. I also understand that for credit cards, it's depending on what your card is, whether you get points for something or whether you get like cash back, there's an incentive to do it. But I guess for me, it's just a matter of convenience. I'm not sure if 3% is going to be enough to get people to change their habits, but I certainly understand why it is that especially small mom and pop merchants like our first one, Andrea, our first caller, Andrea, I understand where they're doing it because you've got to pay that transaction fee. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, does it matter if you voted? I'll explain. We'll discuss. Stick around.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
At Annex Wealth Management, we believe every portfolio tells a story. After all, we've analyzed thousands. Some reflect diligence and fortitude, others a mishmash of overlapping investments. When Annex reviews your portfolio, we spot what works, what might not, and then provide unbiased suggestions free from sales commissions. Every portfolio tells a story. Let's work on yours. Investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning. As a fee-only fiduciary, that's our story. Head to annexwealth.com.
It feels good when I find something really cool and get a great deal on it. But it feels even better when I know that the money I spend actually goes directly to helping others. That's why I shop at St. Vincent de Paul, because I always find the best bargains, and the money I spend stays in Milwaukee County to help fight hunger and eliminate poverty. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton in Greenfield and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Why settle for just a job when you could have a career in the exciting automobile industry? The Auto Dealers Association of Metro Milwaukee new car dealers have technician, sales, administrative, and management positions available now. The first word in career is car, and one of the best places to find a great career opportunity is at an ad of New Car Dealer.
Go to work happy when you go to work in the auto industry. For current, great-paying job opportunities, visit adam.jobs. That's ADAMM.jobs.
After a serious crash with a semi-truck, everything can change instantly. Your future, your family's future, your quality of life. That's why knowledge and results matter in big truck cases. And not all law firms have the know-how or the resources to handle these complicated cases. At Gruber Law Offices, we have the experience it takes to make sure you're protected. And there's never a fee until we win your case. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
One of our texters makes an interesting point. By the way, Many of our texters make extremely interesting points. And I know sometimes people get frustrated, at least during this show, and I can't speak for other shows. In a given 3-hour program, I will receive, on a slow day, hundreds of texts. On a busy day, more than that. And I try to pick and choose. You just if all we did was read text, that's all that we would do. And I always appreciated that feedback. But I know sometimes people get upset. Well, you didn't read my text. Well, you just can't do it because of the volume. But I do, at least I didn't read it on the air, but I do appreciate the input. And here's what one of our texters writes. Jeff, the agreements that merchants must adhere to with credit card providers, except government and nonprofit, explicitly prohibits them from separately charging customers the fees for using the cards. So, I mean, if they have to pay a fee, let's say it's 3 or 4%, whatever that is, that their deal says that you can't pass that, you can't charge the customer that fee. That's why merchants typically offer the cash discounts to get around those restrictions. Kind of interesting. Ends up that makes sense. And a lot of people are talking about this, about the different things that go on. But again, it'll be interesting to see whether this is enough to have at least some people cause cash to have a comeback. All right. As it stands now, there are no declared Republican candidates to challenge Tammy Baldwin when she is up for re-election in November of 2024. So that's unusual. I mean, it's not. I guess it doesn't mean that there's not going to be Republican candidates, but by normally about this time, you'd have a couple people that would be running and raising money and doing things like that. But so far, nobody has emerged as a declared candidate. One of the people who is considering a run, and I have no insight as to whether he's actually going to run or not, but is Eric Hovde, who is he's a banker. He's a property manager. He's a very, very successful business guy who's based out of Madison, but he has places, I think, elsewhere as well. But so this is the kind of breathless story that appears in the local newspaper written by Dan Bice. Madison mogul. I love this. Madison mogul. You could say Madison businessman or successful Madison businessman, but it's Madison mogul. Eric Hovde will want you to cast your ballot for him if he decides to take on Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin next year. But records show Hovde has often done a poor job getting to the polls himself in the past decades. Of the last 15 elections since the 2018 general election, Hovde has only voted in 6 of them. In 2019, for instance, he didn't vote in the spring contest for Supreme Court between Brian Hagedorn and Lisa Neubauer. Hovde also skipped the spring election in April of 2022. The Facebook page for one of his California banks shows he was in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, on a luxury sports fisher on an annual bond trip the day before the election. In last year's spirited spring primary for the Supreme Court, Hovde was missing in action, so he didn't vote in the primary. But, it goes on, and by the way, voting records are public. This is not something that you need to be a sleuth for. You can request to see how often people have voted. And then, the story goes on to recycle the story that it reported earlier where it talks about how Hovde and his wife own a place in Laguna Beach, California, which is by this bank that he is the headquarters of this bank that he's the chairman for. Okay, so again, asked about his record, Hovde said he voted in all federal contests. He also said he mailed in a ballot once that apparently wasn't counted in the Supreme Court race. He says the bulk of the votes I missed were primarily votes in municipal and county elections. Obviously, in many Republican primaries in Madison and Dane County, there aren't Republican candidates or a contested primary. So then this becomes, the issue that's out there. He didn't vote in all these different elections. Our number is 855-616-1620, which is the Old National Bank talk and text line. I am confident that if you went and looked at my record for voting, you would find that I have voted. I can't say I voted in them all because there might be a February primary somewhere along the way, and that there was essentially nothing on the ballot for me to vote for. So it's possible I might have skipped that. But that's just me. So if it turns out that, Hovde didn't vote in a couple municipal races, or he didn't vote in that Supreme Court race, is that in any way, shape, or form disqualifying? I mean, have we got to the point in this country where this is the issue? Oh my gosh, he didn't vote in a couple of these municipal elections, or he didn't vote in this particular Supreme Court race. Do we really care about that? Or is that the type of gotcha stuff that really discourages people from running? Gee, I'm thinking I might want to get involved in politics, but somebody at a local newspaper is going to be desperate on a slow news day to write a story about how I didn't vote in a couple municipal elections. 855-616-1620. And I say this whether it's a Republican or whether it's a Democrat. The fact that, somebody hasn't voted in every election over the last 4 or 5 years, many of whom, like he says, probably didn't even have contested races, or, it's Dane County, there's nobody that's running in a Republican primary. Is this something that we should really care about? Or does this fall into the category of really slow news day? 855-616-1620. And by the way, I take no position on the Senate race, and I don't know if Eric Hovde is going to run, and I have no idea whether he'd be a great candidate against Tammy Baldwin or not. There's some of these stories that just kind of fundamentally, these kind of attempts at gotcha that I think are beneath the people who write them. 855-616-1620. We discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
It's spooky season, and we have monster deals at Heiser. Is your vehicle giving you a scare? Making noises like a monster's living under the hood? Or it's barely being held together like a 5,000-year-old mummy? Don't scream. Heiser has you covered. We have 5 certified service centers and 2 body shops. We're taking new clients, and we serve all makes and models, monsters included. So make sure you get treated with all that Heiser has to offer. Because at Heiser, today's your day.
See dealer for complete details.
This is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner for the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin's Health Network. Lifelong mobility is dependent upon healthy joints. We talked to Dr. Michael Decker, who's an orthopedic surgeon and a great guy with the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network. We learned how timely treatment of joint problems can help keep you moving, why these conditions are so common, about non-surgical options, and more. You can listen to that conversation and all our previous everyday health discussions by visiting the features drop-down menu at WTMJ.com.
Is outdoor living limited at your place? Well, imagine a deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, maybe even an outdoor kitchen in your yard. Outdoor Living Unlimited is a local, family-owned company that consults, designs, and builds these things. They're the best. Let them make Outdoor Living Unlimited in your yard like they did in ours. We are Wisconsin. We live outdoors as much as possible. Make the most of it with help from Outdoor Living Unlimited. See OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Home is where the heart is. Family meals, laughter, and warm memories. As your local contractor that's been around for 40 years, J&J Contractors has been helping families create new memories for generations to come by reimagining your kitchen space for baking holiday cookies with the family or opening up your lower level for friend and neighbor entertainment. Whatever the project is, J&J Contractors does it with top-of-the-line craftsmanship. Just Google J&J Contractors to see their reviews for impeccable work and outstanding communication.
For your new roof, we'll give you the hands-down best lifetime workmanship warranty in the industry. You can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's
made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text HIM to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text HIM to 321-321. That's HIM to 321-321.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
It is funny. This Spice column, he's really obsessed with the fact that Eric Hovde has been a successful business person. Here, so the story is about how, well, there's all these municipal elections and 2 state Supreme Court primaries that he didn't vote in. Oh, okay. And should we care about that or not? That's a whole different story. But this is, Hovde voted in this year's spring general election by absentee ballot. Okay. But all right, fine. So he voted in that. State records show his ballot and the one for his wife were sent to their multi-million-dollar home in Laguna Bay, California on March 16th and returned 11 days later. It is amazing, this kind of class war that's out there. Don't you realize this is a wealthy guy? I mean, this is a wealthy guy. I don't remember running those stories about Herb Cole back in the day. But so apart from like the class warfare and stuff like that, and again, I don't even know if Eric Hovde is going to run for office, you want to talk about like nothing burger type of stories. And, this is now it. So if you're thinking about running for office and you haven't voted in obscure municipal elections, okay, be prepared, because this is the type of thing that is going to be an issue. And I think for most voters, does it make any difference if, you didn't vote in the local primary? Now, again, I'm not sure I can say that I voted in every election. I love to vote. I'm willing to bet that I voted in every partisan election that's been around since I've been 18 years old. But I can't say for every spring municipal election if there's nothing on the ballot. I mean, I voted in the Supreme Court races, but that doesn't mean that I think should be disqualified for office. Doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that decision. It's just that, okay, there was nothing on this particular ballot that particularly impacted me, or, maybe I got busy and I couldn't vote. Now, if you have somebody that's never voted for president, never voted for, U.S. Senate, never voted for governor, and has a long track record of not voting, I think it may be fair to say, okay, what's going on here? But man, are we stretching? Are we stretching? And if you wonder the liberal bias that exists to even allow a story like this to be printed, makes you wonder, are there any editors at all left at the Journal Sentinel? Don't ask that question. Don't answer that question. I think we kind of know what the answer is. All right, when we come back, let us find out what Greg Matzek has on his mind for Wisconsin's afternoon news. Stick around.
WTMJ Now with Steve and Sandy.
The hyper-partisanship in this country will kill us. It will absolutely kill us.
And that's what's awful about war. It isn't just the people who are mad at each other fighting. This is involving people who just are living awful